Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis, host of the Dr. Ardis Show. Thank you for joining us. And I'm so excited about this PowerPoint and this podcast we're about to show you today. And the reason being, this has actually been an ongoing 7-year project for me personally. I actually felt like God had put it on my heart in 2018 to actually present to you today what it was I was told in 2018. So in 2018, a tragedy happened. And for me, it literally shook the core of my soul. And my business partners, my family knew something was wrong, but they really didn't know what it was. So a lot of my friends and business partners and family were asking me what was wrong with me. And it just so happened there was another college athlete who collapsed and died while doing their favorite sport they loved and had received scholarships to go to college to perform and play them. And to me, I had had enough. And when Jordan McNair at the University of Maryland died in 2018, I am recording this in December of 2025. This has been a 7-year project for me. And I'm so excited to announce what has come out of a tragedy, one of many, including one of thousands, that for me really hit home in 2018, when in 2018 I actually had 4 teenagers in high school and in sports. So to find out that a kid at the University of Maryland died at 18 or 19 years old, I was devastated for the parents, devastated for the program, and for me. You're about to learn something that was devastatingly blatant, a problem that needs to be addressed. So I decided in 2018 there was something I needed to do, and that was to learn why would young athletes die during an activity they love, particularly of the heat strokes that, for example, Jordan McNair died of. And then why do so many young athletes, that I soon would learn after this happened, why do so many young athletes die every day or 2 or 3 in America while doing the favorite sport they love? If exercise truly, as we have been told, is what is required to keep adequate, healthy heart health, why do so many athletes around the world die from heart attacks and heat strokes? Young, robust, healthy athletes, why do they drop dead of a heart attack and heat stroke? In fact, you're about to see in 2018, at the time this happened, and this was before the introduction of unproven safe and deadly, now we know, COVID-19 vaccines. We are going to talk today. We're going to talk about an issue that's been affecting athletes for a long time. Heart disease is the #1 killer or #2 killer in America and worldwide. This extends, this topic is not just to athletes. This is to children, infants, toddlers, and adults and seniors. I have launched, and we are launching, and I'm so excited and honored and thrilled to do this, to introduce to you our new Hydrate Complete product, which this is the packaging. We've got all natural green apple flavor Hydrate Complete, and we got strawberry lemonade, all natural flavored Hydrate Complete. And finally, after 7 years, we have blue ice Nature Winds Hydrate Complete. 30 individual sticks for 30 days, a month of adequate, complete hydration. The problem is the effects of dehydration, the deadly, toxic side effects of dehydration, which is why I have been working so diligently over the last 7 years to develop a product after studying as much as I can what is the impact on minerals, vitamins, amino acids that are lost from the body for any reason that would create dehydration. That includes diarrhea issues or illnesses, and then obviously sweating. In fact, you're about to learn that dehydration, complications of dehydration leading to illness and symptoms, occurs for 52% of all complications related to dehydration come simply from sweating. So as I have educated the world and others on the principles and the importance of detoxing through sweating, which includes saunas, exercise, grounding, you name it, and then detoxing, period. I needed to, over the last several years, I needed to complete a formula and a product that for me would actually help answer the problem of why so many young athletes die, why so many infants and children around the world die from the effects of dehydration every year. And you're about to see the numbers. And all of the calamities, diseases, autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular death, and diseases related to senior citizens in this country and adults. simply because of the effects of dehydration. So, to address what truly dehydration is, which is more than just losing water, if you want to know how big and significant dehydration is in this country and all around the world, what's the first thing that happens to 99% of all people that go into hospitals for any symptom of any kind? They will insert a needle into your left arm or right arm and then hook you up to a little bag of what looks like water on an IV stand. And it's loaded with salt and chloride, which are electrolytes suspended in water, which is rehydrating the human body. So, how many people in hospitals and ambulances around the world, no matter what's wrong with them, heart attacks, strokes included, it doesn't matter, high blood pressure, why are they all on salt water with chloride? Because the majority of all the diseases we experience are directly correlated to the effects of dehydration. So if the medical profession knows that the majority of human beings in America are dehydrated, which is why they're all on fluids from the time they walk into the hospital or get into an ambulance, you should know why and how it is dehydration affects you. And then simply, we've created a product for you. Hydrate Complete, a daily complete hydrate. So what's in Hydrate? I'm going to walk you through it. So in every drop of sweat we've ever experienced, which beyond sweat, dehydration, fevers, infections, bowel movements, diarrhea, these can all lead to dehydration. There's many, many things, but sweating's a big one. Every athlete should be on this Hydrate Complete. When it's time to compete, don't forget Hydrate Complete. You've got to have it. You just can't miss out on that. So we're going to dive into those things. But every drop of sweat out of the human body actually contains a total of 11 minerals. That includes salt, potassium, salt's called sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, copper, selenium. You're going to see them all. 11 different minerals that as you lose them in every drop of sweat, or for whatever reason you're going into dehydration, when you lose those minerals, you will experience symptoms and disease. Sometimes within hours, sometimes within days, sometimes within weeks. I'm even going to show you these. Every drop of sweat contains 11 essential minerals that you lose. Every drop of sweat also contains 11 different vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C. You're going to see them all. We're going to walk you through all of those that we know and what the concentrations are and what are the impact of losing those vitamins to your health if you don't replace them. That's the purpose of this Hydrate product. And then we're going to dive into, in our Hydrate formula, unlike any other product in the whole world, there's no other Hydrate product that replaces all 11 vitamins, all 11 minerals. Definitely no other one. There's only one called Prime that even puts back 3 amino acids. There's actually 17 different amino acids that are measured and lost in sweat that have a direct impact on your health, even your cardiovascular health. So I'm going to walk you through why I created Hydrate, why hydration is so important, what's the true definition of it. And this is a PowerPoint presentation. So if you are involved in athletics, if your spouse is involved in coaching athletics, little league included, it doesn't matter. If you're involved in a booster club for a high school, college, it doesn't matter. If it involves athletics, if you do hot yoga and you're sweating, if you're exercising every day and you're sweating, if you're doing Peloton exercises and you're sweating like my wife does every day, if you are running on a treadmill, you're a cross-country runner, you're a marathon, you should be using Hydrate Complete. And I'm about to show you why. And no other hydration sports drink even comes close to putting back into the body the 39 vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. And then we added one more essential nutrients isolated from plants, from vegetables. It's called betaine anhydrous. There's no other hydration product on the planet that even has this in there. And I'm going to show you what's the impact of betaine being lost in our sweat and its impact on your health. So you're going to see on the package, there are 40, you're going to see there, 40 essential nutrients. Look at any of your hydrates, any of them. I don't care what the brand is. Look at them, turn it around and see how many ingredients they have. If it ain't 40, it ain't Hydrate Complete. So that means anything else is incomplete. So for some of us, we like not finishing the things we set out to do, our goals, our ambitions, our homework, our tasks given to us by our bosses. Okay, if you are one who likes to do things incompletely, all those other products are for you. If you would like to once a day put in your body what it is that you are losing that actually maintains adequate health, and I'm going to show you all the research studies backing all these up. This is a very long presentation. This has been a 7-year formulation and research. So I'm going to give you more information than you need. And if you check out, want to jump off this, you're about to learn a lot about dehydration, how it impacts the world globally and its health. And I'm going to walk you through why I created this. At any point you lose interest, but you still want to get the product, just go get it and then download the PowerPoint at the resources tab at the Dr. Ardis Show. I have all this stuff on a PDF you can just download for free, share with everybody you know. This should be in the locker room, practice facilities, high school, middle school, elementary school, college, professional sports, all of you. Every single one of you should be doing this. So let's show you why. This is our why hydrate. Here we go. Here's the PowerPoint. We're going to show you and walk you through this. Remember, it's going to be a little bit lengthy. That's okay. This has been 7 years for me, and I want to show you what God put on my heart in 2018, made me feel the pain the family felt when they lost another young athlete who was away at college, running sprints during football practice, how that motivated me. Scan the QR code so you can be notified when it is that our next podcast is coming out, our next speaking engagement, or whatever we're doing. This is our hydrate. I just showed you the actual bags, 30 different individual sticks. Yours, they start shipping December 2025. So get your order in now. Place your order now. They ship December 29th. We are doing a pre-sale. All right, now here we go. This is hydration. What is hydration? Well, according to the NHS, water makes up 2/3 of our body. It is vital. We drink enough fluid to maintain a healthy balance. Many people get dehydrated by not drinking enough fluid or losing fluids and not replacing them. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The effects of dehydration is not simply losing water. It is what do you lose with the water, with the diarrhea? What is it in your sweat? What are you losing? Well, there's specific minerals and vitamins you lose that directly cause these symptoms of dehydration. So dehydration creates these symptoms. If you are hydrated, it prevents these symptoms. Commonly, urinary tract infections come when you're dehydrated. Headaches, constipation, dizziness that can lead to falls, confusion, kidney stones, pressure ulcers on your skin, poor health. Well, it's even more than that. Here's the statistics. According to Dehydration Statistics 2025, dehydration is commonly caused by various factors, with diarrhea being the leading cause. 73% of all cases of diarrhea develop dehydration, or 73% of all dehydration cases are correlated to diarrhea. Sweating accounts for 52% of all dehydration incidents that are noted in hospitals or by the emergency personnel. 52% of all dehydration incidents is due to a loss of sweating. This is why this is significant. I'm going to focus on sweating, but notice if you have IBS-D, irritable bowel syndrome, and diarrhea, Crohn's disease, celiac, and you often have diarrhea, you are going to suffer with the effects of dehydration. And you should listen to me. Symptoms of dehydration statistics: lack of focus impacts 38% of individuals who are dehydrated. Headaches occur in 37% of all people that are experiencing dehydration. Dizziness is reported in 33%, lightheadedness in 27%. Muscle weakness is experienced by 27% of all people who are dehydrated, while rapid breathing and rapid pulse are reported in 25% of all people who are dehydrated clinically. Now, they even keep statistics on pediatric dehydration stats. Pedialyte, anybody? You know that one. It doesn't have 40 nutrients either, of which you lose in every drop of sweat. So all the other ones are incomplete. This one I could not be more proud of. It is by far the most extensive formulation I've ever put together. In fact, I can't even think of another product that has more than this. Okay, I can think of a few. All right, epidemiology. Dehydration is a major cause of pediatric illness and death worldwide. Did y'all know a bunch of kids are dying around the world because they're just dehydrated? Accounting for 14% to 30% of all deaths in infants and toddlers, mainly due to diarrhea issues. According to the World Health Organization, dehydration results from excessive body water loss. Infants and children have a higher total body water percentage. So we as adults have like 60 to 70. Infants and toddlers have 65 to 80% of their body is water. Diarrhea and dehydration cause significant health issues in approximately 700,000 to 800,000 buried children every year, accounting for nearly 16% of all global child deaths are due to dehydration. In the United States, these conditions lead to over 200,000 hospitalizations annually of children, which the first thing I do is inject you with salt and chloride, which are 2 electrolytes you lose in every drop of sweat. Just 2 of the 11. All right, adult dehydration statistics. These are for adults. In healthy adults weighing around 70 kilograms, that's about 150 pounds, water constitutes approximately 60% of their body weight, with a recommended daily intake of 2 to 3.5 liters of water. Even a 3% loss in body weight from water depletion can indicate dehydration, which is linked to cognitive impairments like poor memory and attention. Dehydration results from an imbalance between water intake and loss, how much water you're taking in, and losing through sweat, urine, diarrhea, increasing the risk of conditions like constipation, dental issues, urinary tract infections, and kidney stones. If you live with chronic constipation, have a lot of dental issues, and have chronic reoccurring urinary tract infections or kidney stones, you most likely are dehydrated. These are signs and symptoms of dehydration. Dehydration prevalence varies by age, affecting 16 to 20% of all individuals. Severe dehydration can lead to rapid weight loss. Older adults, all you seniors, face a higher risk of dehydration. In fact, up to 20 to 30% more than younger adults. Due to these factors, they say, reduced mobility, you're not moving as much, so your joints not pumping the lymph and using the blood as much as possible to filter the water into your kidneys for urination, impaired thirst sensation, diabetes, renal disease, and susceptibility to falls. Okay. Susceptibility to fall. I guess you're not getting up to go get something to drink because you're worried about falling. That is not what causes dehydration. However, they left one off of here. Did you know the majority of medications, prescription drugs, cause individuals to be dehydrated? In fact, one of the things that causes it the most are diuretics that help with lowering blood pressure and water retention. They cause dehydration. Lots of prescription drugs have dehydration as a published side effect of prescription medications. So why did Dr. Ardis create this Hydrate Complete? When there are so many other hydration products available, I'm about to show you why. Here we go. I mentioned earlier Jordan McNair, parents of University of Maryland football player who died, to call for the firing of the head coach. And you'll see the date there in 2018. His name is Jordan McNair, a 19-year-old offensive lineman for the University of Maryland's Terrapins football team. Collapsed during an outdoor workout on May 29th. The scholar athlete died on June 13th from complications related to extreme exhaustion and heat stroke, school officials said. Now, that was in 2018. When I was a teenager, I actually watched this happen live, and it has bothered me ever since. So when Jordan McNair's issue and his death occurred in 2018, I think it was my shock from this and watching this live in an NCAA basketball game on television. This guy, Hank Gathers, played at Loyola University in New Orleans, and this guy was the number one scorer and rebounder and assist leader in entire NCAA college basketball in the entire nation. The next year, he's a junior, and this is what happens. College basketball star Hank Gathers collapses on court and dies. I actually was watching that game. On March 4th, 1990, Loyola Marymount University star senior forward Hank Gathers sprints down the court during a West Coast Conference tournament game, leaps and catches an alley-oop pass, slams down an emphatic dunk, and after jogging back to the midcourt, collapses to the floor. There are videos of this if you'd like to watch it. I'm not showing it. Although he briefly regains consciousness, he's rushed to a hospital where he dies. Gathers, a 6'7", 23-year-old who led the nation in scoring and rebounding as a junior, had collapsed on the court during a game earlier in his senior season. He quickly recovered, and doctors were unable to fully ascertain what was wrong with him. An autopsy would later reveal he suffered from a heart disorder known as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, specific heart disease. When Jordan McNair dies, and I'm reminded of Hank Gathers' death, just remember this, they tell you exercise is good for the heart. Why would these athletes, basketball players, football players who are teenagers and young adults, why would they be dying during exercise? From their heart stopping or having a heat stroke, which, by the way, is caused by the exact same thing. Heart attacks, heat strokes, death, same cause. And it is directly related to what you lose in your sweat. I found this article in 2018 and 19, and I was like, oh my goodness. I had no idea how big of a problem this was. This is from Philly Voice in Philadelphia. When tragedy strikes, preventing sudden cardiac death in student athletes. And if you read the subtitle, a competitive athlete, not a recreational athlete, not just somebody who does stuff on the weekends. No. A competitive athlete dies every 3 days in America, often of cardiac arrest. Their heart just stops in the middle of running cross country, playing basketball, football. Now, I'm going to give you some more context here to this. Each year, more than 350,000 individuals die as a result of sudden cardiac death. It is the most common cause of death in the student athlete. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, are you watching? Do you have a child in your family who is a student athlete? You better get them on Hydrate Complete. I know I was intentionally told to create this product to look into the cause for these issues. I know it. It wasn't me. I didn't want this. It wasn't in my reality to create this product back in 2018. It became very apparent that my nutritional education, clinical experience using nutrition in practice to help people with all kinds of health conditions led me to being ready to take that knowledge and experience to develop this one product. I could not be more deadly serious. Although it is difficult, they say, to get a precise number of sudden cardiac deaths, it's estimated that one competitive athlete dies suddenly every 3 days in America. This is in 2018. It is not better now. More than 2/3 participate in either basketball or football, and the average age of death is 17 years old. Teenagers. Could you imagine dropping off your kid at basketball practice as a teenager? Or sending your kid to high school in his car early for basketball practice and while exercising dies? It's disgusting. This research study is what they're quoting. The incidence of sudden cardiac arrest in high school student athletes on school campuses. And I would like to read the background. Here's the background to this research study. An accurate estimate of the incidence of sudden cardiac arrest in high school students is needed to guide prevention strategies. They know this is a problem. A total of 2,149 United States high schools distributed throughout all 50 states participated in this study. For the 2-year study period, this provided more than 4.1 million total student years and more than 1.5 million student athletes years of surveillance. 129 potential cases of sudden cardiac arrest, sudden heart attack, and death were reported by school representatives. 59 cases met the inclusion criteria. Of the 70 cases that were excluded, 13 did not occur on the school campus, and 32 occurred outside the study period. 69% of the cases of student athletes in high school who collapsed of heart disease called sudden cardiac arrest occurred in student athletes. 69% of them in the athletes, not the fat, lazy kids. No, the athletes. 69% of these cardiac arrests happen in the athletes. I'm going to show you why. And all of them were associated with physical activity. While they were working out and exercises, they died. Their heart stopped. The number of cases in student athletes was also similar during each year of the study. 89% of the cases of sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes occurred in males. And only 2 of them, which represented 11% of the cases, were in females. So it happens more often to males than females. There were 4 cases, each in males and females, among the student non-athletes that had sudden cardiac arrest among all those high schools. Commotio cordis occurred in 3. Now, I'm going to tell you what this is, by the way. Commotio cordis, which many of you don't know what that means. In fact, when I saw the words, I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this. Commotio cordis occurred in 3, which is only 17% of the cases in male student athletes, with 1 case each in all ice hockey and lacrosse. So what is commotio cordis? And maybe I'm mispronouncing it. Commotio cordis. What is it? Well, do you remember this guy? He plays for the Buffalo Bills. Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin. All right, so Damar Hamlin's playing football. This is what commotio cordis is. He gets rocked, gets hit in the chest by this defensive or this offensive player, actually, on the Cincinnati Bengals team. This is on a Monday Night Football game in the NFL. He gets hit in the chest. Then he collapses when his heart stops. And then he's rushed by ambulance to the hospital, where thank goodness he survived. But he literally died on the field. And live, everyone on the field, in the stands, and watching on television, we all got to see paramedics literally doing chest compressions to restart his heart because he died on the field. That's what this is. Now, this is the same research study. The incidence of sudden cardiac arrest of the 18 cases of sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes, 6 occurred in football, 3 in basketball, 2 in baseball, 2 in track, and 1 in each of the cheerleading, cross country, hockey, lacrosse, and swimming. The incidence of sudden heart stoppage in student athletes by omitting cases of commotio cordis was 0.95, less than 1. And in male student athletes, it was 1.41 out of 100,000. There were 2 deaths in the student athletes who suffered sudden cardiac arrest, both males, and 2 deaths in the student non-athletes. So, of all those who had sudden cardiac arrest, there were 4 of them that died. All right. Out of that research study on young athletes dying 1 every 3 days in America during sports, usually in football or basketball, and 2/3 of them are African American, by the way. So, are you African American? Do you have African American children who are in sports? Are you an African American in athletics? Do you exercise? Do you sweat? If you do, you should be on Nature Wins Hydrate Complete every single day. And at a minimum on the days you're sweating. In a prospective cohort study by Corrado, a higher risk of sudden cardiac death was found in competitive athletes in the Veneto region of Italy than in age-matched sedentary controls. Does that even make sense to you? In Italy, researchers found sudden cardiac arrest and death of the heart. The heart stops working in those who are athletes, competitive athletes, compared to, in the same region, sedentary recliner football sports watching fanatics from home who don't exercise. Does that make sense to you? It will if you watch this whole thing, you will now see why athletes die more often or their hearts stop more often than non-athletes. And this is really ridiculous. It's even gone so far, I'm going to show you that the NCAA, just a few years ago, if an athlete is coming to a college or a university and is given a full ride scholarship or any kind of scholarship, the NCAA will send cardiologists to evaluate the kid's heart health before they go to the school, just in case the scholarship's return on investment ends early and the kid collapses or dies from a heart failure. The NCAA knows exactly how big of a problem this is in young athletes dying of their heart stopping or just having heart attacks and heart disease that is completely unnecessary and preventable. And this is a part of that prevention strategy. All right, another researcher, American, performed a 5-year prospective observational study in France. So now we've gone from America to Italy to France. You're going to see it's all the same. A 5-year prospective observational study in France and reported that the relative risk of sudden death in athletes was 4.5 times higher in competitive young athletes who were 10 to 35 years old than in recreational sports participants of the same age. So if you just played pickup game basketball on Saturdays, you were less likely to have a heart attack than competitive young athletes your same age who are competing. Practicing every day, going through training, going to physical therapy, and showing up at games. No, those guys are more likely to have a heart attack. So dumb. In case you're wondering if this is a tinfoil hat presentation and I am a chiropractor and you think I'm some kind of conspiracy theorist, here is the research studies all on the screen of various countries, including the United States. Look how many of those from the United States. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where researchers were funded by our government to research how much cardiovascular death and heat strokes occur in athletes compared to the general population. And it is always more in athletes. Conclusion: the incidence of sudden cardiac arrest in high school athletes is higher than previous estimates were given, particularly among male students. I mentioned the NCAA coming out with their own guidelines to make sure a cardiologist checks a kid's heart who's been given a scholarship to play a sport in college or universities. The NCAA is like, whoa. We are going to have to make sure whatever the college is making an investment in as a scholarship for them to come play. Now, imagine throwing in NIL deals, name, image, and likeness deals. Do you think a college wants to throw millions of dollars at these college kids to play football, basketball, lacrosse, whatever? Do you really think they want to throw all this money at somebody they think might have a heart attack and die while they're there? No. So the NCAA has put in new guidance on preventing sudden cardiac death in athletes. What's the NCAA? It represents kids and young adults. What does the NCAA say about this? Well, let's just read it to you. Sudden cardiac death is the most common non-traumatic cause of death among college athletes. I repeat, sudden cardiac death, your heart just stopping, is the most common non-traumatic, because there was no trauma. You weren't hit, shot, ran over. Non-traumatic cause of death among college athletes. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. And 75% of college student athlete deaths occurred during sports and exercise. What? This is why I created Nature Wins Hydrate Complete. I did this for you and those you love and those who love sports. But this doesn't just go to sports. If you're a senior citizen, this is for you. If you are an adult, sedentary, at home, whatever, doesn't matter. If you're a stay-at-home mom and just like doing hot yoga every morning, this is for you. If you have an infrared sauna in your home, this is for you. Every time you get in that sauna, you should be taking this. If you're doing red light therapy, you should be doing it. The NCAA currently requires every student athlete to undergo a pre-participation evaluation conducted by a licensed medical doctor of osteopathic medicine prior to participation in any sport it sponsors. I just told you, the NCAA knows if we're giving a scholarship to someone to come participate at this college in our sports, we're going to send a medical doctor to evaluate their heart first. And if we see any arrhythmias, anything that tells us there might be something wrong with this kid's heart, you don't give them the scholarship. Don't let them participate. Look at this. However, the purpose of that pre-participation evaluation is not defined, nor is it required to be conducted or reviewed by a team physician. Okay, thanks. Now, this is a USA Today article, and this isn't old. I think the date's on here. This is a summary actually dating back to 1909, but I got this in 2025. But I want you to read here. This is a USA Today article. You'll see the link at the bottom of the screen. The title of the USA Today article, published in 2025, reads, Sudden Death in Athletes. Oh my God, what? If you were to picture in your mind who is going to suffer from cardiovascular death, sudden death, did you ever think it was athletes? No, I would never think that. You would think obese, metabolic disorder, autoimmune disease, fatty liver, alcoholic. I mean, that's what you think. No. Let's read together. Look at the red box. Search athletes by their name, level of play, cause of death, year, state, and more. In that search box, we're going to put cardiac arrest. And I want to know how many pages just in 2024 alone, because this is in 2025. What names, what ages, what states did young athletes die of cardiac arrest? But look at the page number down there. You see the arrow? If you go look at this article, the sudden death in athletes category, there's 74 pages of names of people who died from sudden cardiac arrest as athletes. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you when we put in cardiac arrest, you'll see in the red box, third column to the right, you will see, well, first, let's start with the left. You'll see in blue the name of the kids. Then you'll see their age column. Then you'll see the state they're from. And then you'll read sudden cardiac arrest is the cause of death. This is death numbers. Okay. All the way down. Sudden cardiac arrest. All right. See it? All right. Rocking. Now, we're not going to read all of these, but I want you to notice something that I know you didn't know. Notice all the dates to the right are in 2024 because that's what we set the search criteria to be. I only wanted last year. Let me just look at some. Let's look at these along with me. Look at the ages. The first one's 14 years old. That sucks. Let's go down a little bit further. You'll see there's an 8-year-old named Maya Hurd. Could you imagine having an 8-year-old at YMCA flag football collapsing and dying of a heart attack? Go down even further. Look at Evan Briggs. Look how old this kid was in 2024 while exercising or in his athletic sport. Little League baseball, maybe. 7 years old, sudden cardiac arrest in a 7-year-old. But look at all the teenagers. Look at all the young 20-year-olds. This is not normal. This is just the first page. Here's the second page. Let's see what some of the ages are on there. 11 years old, 12-year-old, 16 years old, 15 years old, 19, 18, 16, 14. Look at their names. These are real people. Look at the states they live in. Sudden cardiac death. All right, so that's USA Today, even publishing last year alone. We just looked at that criteria, but there are 74 pages of athletes who have experienced sudden cardiac arrest. If you would like to go look at all their names and all the years in which they have died or experienced sudden cardiac arrest while doing athletics in competitive sports, go look at the list. This is a much bigger problem than you realize. It is so big, it spills over into the heart disease as the number 1 or number 2 cause of death in the world, regardless of age. Why kids are dying while in sports is the same reason why any adult dies of a heart attack at any point in their life, whether they're playing a sport, sitting at home, watching, I don't know, anything. The heart only stops because it is vitamin or minerally deficient. If it hasn't been a trauma. Now, I'm about to show you and dive into why did I create our brand new Hydrate Complete? Why did I have to make this? All right, now I'm going to show you on the packaging. It actually reads research back. You're going to see it. Oh, let me load you with exercise medical research studies evaluating what is lost in sweat, the minerals and vitamins that are lost in every drop of sweat, and its impact on the cardiovascular health of all human beings. And in order to prevent heat strokes in athletes and individuals, such as Jordan McNair at the University of Maryland, to prevent collapsing and death and stoppage of hearts in kids like Hank Gathers, who played basketball at Loyola, in order to stop that, I had to create this formula. In order to stop heat strokes and heart attacks, I had to put together this formulation because no other company has done it. No other sports hydrate drink on earth, including the orange one, has anywhere close to the required needs you need to prevent heat strokes and heart attacks. None of them have it. None of them have enough. Some of them don't even have the minerals that you lose in sweat that if you put back in, prevent heat strokes and heart attacks. And I'm going to show you what those are here in a second. Everything you lose while sweating or in high temperatures, whether in athletics or hot yoga or a sauna or in the desert. This is a research study I discovered in 2018. It was actually done in 2016. I think this was a godsend. It came out of Asia. The relationships between micronutrients, small amounts of nutrient losses in sweat, and its impact on blood pressure among heat-exposed steelworkers in Asia. So the Chinese government asked these individuals, these scientists, to go into these steelworker factories, and they all work in really hot environments, right? They're melting metal. So they have to wear these fire retardant suits for their 8-hour shifts. 30% plus of all steel workers in the first year of working in a steel factory will be diagnosed with high blood pressure and put on high blood pressure medications. And the Chinese government wanted to know, is there any correlation to them developing high blood pressure that is, all of us know, a high risk factor for developing heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, you name it, high blood pressure. They want to know why so many steel workers develop high blood pressure and have to go on drugs, prescription drugs for the rest of their life. Is there a direct correlation to their job and high blood pressure being diagnosed? So they went there. And the only thing all the steel workers had in common is they were wearing these fire retardant suits that are really hot, and they're in a high temperature setting all day long for 8 hours. So these researchers decided to put sweat patches on these individuals before they'd put on their fire retardants. They put like gauzes or cloths to collect the sweat, have them put on their fire retardant, and over an 8-hour work shift, collect their sweat and send it off to a lab for analyzing what specific nutrients are lost in the sweat of these individuals and how much. And if you don't think this correlates to athletes, sweat is sweat, man. When you're running, exercising, powerlifting, doing CrossFit competitions, I don't care. you are increasing the temperature in your body and you will sweat as a reaction to cool yourself off. No different than what these people are doing. This directly correlates to all athletes and heat strokes. We collected sweat, front, arms, legs, back, and chest of each participant by scraping the skin. During the rest time in the break room or at the work site immediately after exposure to high temperatures, sweat was collected twice in the morning and twice again in the afternoon. We estimated respiratory water loss out of their lungs of each participant according to labor intensity and heat exposure time. So they even measured how much water was lost out of their lungs. We considered that micronutrient losses in sweat were equal to the product of the concentration of the micronutrient and the amount of sweat. They believed the amount of sweat you lost, there was going to be a correlation, direct amount of loss of minerals, micronutrients in the sweat. Sweat losses increased. They lost more sweat in their body as the temperature of the work environment went up. Well, that's a no-brainer. As they got hotter, they did sweat more. The excretion of vitamin C. Did you know vitamin C was in your sweat? The concentration and excretions of vitamin C in your sweat, vitamin B1 in your sweat, vitamin B2 in your sweat, in the 35 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius, which isn't Fahrenheit, we're talking 85, 90 degrees, and the 40 to 43 degrees Celsius groups were significantly higher than the lower temperature groups. So as the temperature went up in the different parts of the factory, the hotter the areas, the more sweat came out, the more vitamin C, B1, B2 was lost in their sweat, as an example. Well, did you know B1 and B2 B vitamins, thiamine and riboflavin, B1, B2? Did you know that B vitamins are required to make a heart stay healthy? How many of you knew you lost B vitamins in every drop of sweat? How many of you knew you lost vitamin C in every drop of sweat? And that as you get hotter, picture hot yoga, saunas, infrared saunas, you name it, doesn't matter. The hotter you get, the more sweat you produce, the more vitamins you're losing is what I just showed you. The excretion of vitamin C, B1 and B2 in the sweat in the 40 to 43 degrees Celsius group, which is hotter, were significantly higher than those in the 35 to 40 degrees Celsius range. I know in America, we don't talk Celsius temperatures. We talk Fahrenheit. I know. I'm going to show you a chart here in a minute. This is out of the research study on the steelworkers collecting their sweat, the excretions of water-soluble vitamins in sweat during an 8-hour work shift. And they show you for those in the areas of the factory that were exposed to temperatures of 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, you'll see it was 102 persons. You see the amount of vitamin C milligrams worth lost in their sweat sample in one shift, how much vitamin B1 and how many micrograms of vitamin B2 were lost. You can see it. And you see just how drastically all those numbers go up as you go from the left, 30 to 35 degrees to 35 to 40 degrees, then 40 to 43 degrees. You see how drastically more vitamins you lose in every drop of sweat as your temperature goes up. The excretions during an 8-hour work shift among heat-exposed steel workers, the losses of all 8 minerals in this study, in the sweat of these people, in the lower temperature group, 35 to 40 degrees Celsius, and the 40 to 43 degrees Celsius groups, which is higher, were significantly higher than those in the lowest temperature parts of the factory at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. Why? They had less sweat. The higher the temperatures, the more sweat there was. The more sweat there is, the more vitamin C, B1, B2 is lost. That's what you just learned. Now we're getting into minerals. The mineral losses in the 40 to 43 degrees Celsius group were significantly higher than those in the 30 to 35 degrees Celsius group and the 35 to 40 degrees Celsius group. So the more heat, the more sweat, the more minerals lost. 8 of them. 8 minerals that directly impact heat stroke, heart attacks, high blood pressure, period. And here is the chart directly out of the research study. When they looked at the different degrees of temperatures, you see it on the left, 30 to 35, 35 to 40, 40 to 45 degrees Celsius. I know we don't talk in Celsius. We talk in Fahrenheit. Just notice and recognize the hotter a person gets, the much more minerals you lose. And they show you the 8 minerals they tested for in this research study: potassium, sodium, which is salt, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, copper, and selenium. And I'm going to tell you right now, go find any other hydration product that has copper in it that replaces copper. You're looking there, look at how much copper, even in nanograms, which it is a micronutrient anyway, small amount of nutrient you need every day. Look how much copper you lose at various degrees. The hottest degree, oh my goodness, you're losing 127 micrograms on average. Copper deficiency causes heart attacks and strokes, aneurysms also. So if you're not replacing the copper you're losing as an athlete, you increase the risk of strokes and aneurysms. Look at magnesium. Did you know the hypothalamus in your brain that controls core body temperature only requires one mineral to be adequate in your bloodstream to allow the hypothalamus that makes you cooler or hotter? A fever. Picture a fever. Do you know what drives the fever? Your hypothalamus. Do you know what tells the body to heat up and cool off and when? Your hypothalamus. Do you know what mineral is the only mineral the hypothalamus requires to be at adequate levels to maintain adequate temperature inside the human body? It is magnesium. Go look it up. Look up what mineral is required for the hypothalamus to regulate the core body temperature of a human. And then you will realize why people like Jordan McNair running sprints on the football field early morning would overheat internally to 106 degrees is what they measured his temperature at when he got to the hospital. Internally, 106 degrees. And died of a heat stroke. Do you want to know why he died of a heat stroke? He was deficient in magnesium. Did you know that magnesium is the fourth most by volume lost mineral in your sweat? And you would be shocked to know that the orange branded sports drink of all sports drinks on all the sidelines of every sport in the world doesn't have any magnesium in it. And it's the fourth most lost mineral in sweat. So of course kids are going to have heat strokes if they're only drinking that crap. So it really matters what you put into your body. It really matters. The number one mineral deficiency that leads to heart attacks, sudden cardiac arrest, is magnesium deficiency. This is where the hydration narrative, story, messaging comes in. There are specific minerals and vitamins that are devoid in sports drinks all over the country being promoted. These schools are being bribed with big scholarship money, donations to these schools and young athletes, and none of them are putting back in what these kids need to stop dying young. Until now. This is my attempt to solve a massive problem worldwide, not just for athletes, anyone who is threatened with heat strokes and heart attacks, period. That was why this was made. All right, so then you got iron, zinc, copper, selenium. Amazing. Blood pressure levels of the heat-exposed steelworkers. The prevalence of high blood pressure was 29.5%. Of all their people there, 30% of them have high blood pressure. We observed significant differences among the three groups of workers. Remember the different temperature groups. We observed significant differences among the three groups of workers in terms of systolic blood pressure, the upper number in your blood pressure. Remember, 120/80 they consider normal. 120 is the systolic blood pressure number. They're telling you, we observe significant differences between the three groups in their systolic blood pressure numbers. For those who had the most heat, the most sweat, and lost the most minerals, they had a higher systolic blood pressure. The diastolic blood pressure, DPP, is the lower number. So 120/80, this would be the 80. Diastolic blood pressure in the 40 to 43 degrees Celsius group, the hottest temperature group, was significantly higher than that in the 30 to 35 degree Celsius group. The more heat, the more sweat. The more sweat, the more mineral loss. The more mineral loss and vitamin loss, the higher the diastolic and systolic blood pressure goes. The relationships between micronutrient losses and sweat during an 8-hour work shift and blood pressure among heat-exposed steel workers. The analysis revealed vitamin C, potassium, and calcium losses in sweat were directly correlated with the patient's systolic blood pressure, their upper number. As they lost vitamin C, potassium, and calcium, their systolic blood pressure went up. Here's your relationship to all those vitamins and minerals and systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure columns. And remember, you get these PowerPoint from the Dr. Ardis show at the resources tab. Just go download this. This is titled Why Hydrate. An analysis observed that systolic blood pressure was significantly higher in workers with potassium losses above 900 milligrams than in workers with potassium losses less than 300 milligrams or 300 to 600 milligrams. So the more potassium they lost, the higher their systolic blood pressure went, the upper number. Systolic blood pressure was significantly higher in workers with calcium losses between 100 to 130 milligrams and above or equal or less to 130 milligrams than in workers with calcium losses less than 70 milligrams, or those who lost 70 to 100 milligrams of calcium. The more calcium they lost, the higher their systolic blood pressure went. Systolic blood pressure was higher with vitamin C, potassium, or calcium losses greater than 12 milligrams, greater than 900 milligrams. That's 12 milligrams for vitamin C, not 900 milligrams for potassium, and 100 milligrams or greater of calcium. Whoops, I think I skipped one. Now you're reading the diastolic blood pressure numbers. This is what they figured out. Diastolic blood pressure was significantly higher in workers with potassium losses of 600 to 900 milligrams. This is the lower blood pressure number you all know of, the 80 out of the 120 over 80. And in greater to or equal to 900 milligrams than in workers with potassium losses less than 300 milligrams. So the more of these minerals you lose, the higher your blood pressure measurements go. I'll just go to the bottom here. Diastolic blood pressure was higher with potassium or calcium losses in sweat greater than 600 milligrams and 130 milligrams respectively for potassium and calcium. Heat-exposed steel workers lose large amounts of water-soluble vitamins and minerals through sweat. In our study, the average losses of vitamin C, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, potassium, and calcium in sweat were these numbers. 16 milligrams of vitamin C on average, 240 micrograms of vitamin B1, 201 micrograms of vitamin B2, which is called riboflavin, 513 milligrams of potassium, and 102 milligrams of calcium, respectively, which were higher than previous reports in sweat analysis studies. And they show you all those comparison research studies. If you want to go download this research study, the link is at the bottom on the screen. An analysis of covariance revealed that systolic blood pressure, the 120 number, increased when potassium or calcium losses in sweat were greater than 900 milligrams. We already covered that. And greater than 100 milligrams for calcium, respectively. And similarly, their diastolic blood pressure increased when potassium or calcium losses in sweat were greater than 600 milligrams for potassium or greater than 130 milligrams of calcium lost in sweat. Therefore, to control blood pressure, heat-exposed workers may consider increasing their potassium intake, at least 900 milligrams of potassium and 130 milligrams of calcium intake to compensate for the losses of potassium and calcium in their sweat. In our study, we found that most workers, 55% of them, had a high diet intake of salt. And the average salt loss in sweat among heat-exposed steel workers was this. This was the average amount of sweat lost, salt in their sweat. 3,725 milligrams, which they say is equivalent to 9.5 grams. I don't know how they got that number, but supposedly 3,725 milligrams is actually 3 grams. So I don't know how they got the 9.5. But 3,725 milligrams. Just so y'all know, that's over 1,000 milligrams more than the FDA tells you you should eat in a given day, 24 hours. The American Heart Association says you should consume less than a third of that 3,700 a day. Isn't that amazing? In this study, the reason why they didn't say people should consume salt to bring their blood pressure back down is because they all were eating adequate amounts of salt in their diet. They're telling you here, had a high dietary salt intake. And the average was 3,725 milligrams lost in their sweat. But because they're eating a lot of salt, they're putting it back in already. You don't need to supplement it. Special attention should be given to the effects of potassium and calcium losses in sweat on blood pressure among heat-exposed workers. In this research study, when they would feed these people after the 8-hour shift, their blood pressure would go up by 10, 20%, and it would stay there until they had them take exactly what they lost in their sweat, the minerals and vitamins they measured per person, what was their average loss of each. They would have them just take it as a supplement. Within 30 minutes, their blood pressure went back to normal, which for these researchers was able to confirm these people don't need blood pressure drugs. They don't have high blood pressure now for the rest of their life. They have high blood pressure because of the reaction to the loss of minerals and vitamins in their sweat. And if you just put it back in within 30 minutes, the blood pressure would recorrect itself. Isn't that amazing? In conclusion, the losses of potassium and calcium in sweat among heat-exposed steel workers during an 8-hour work shift adversely affects blood pressure. To control that blood pressure, heat-exposed steel workers may also need to increase their dietary intakes of vitamin C, potassium, and calcium. Guess what's in our Hydrate Complete? Vitamin C, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, calcium, potassium, salt. Oh, and that's not all. There's 40 nutrients in our Hydrate Complete. There are 11 minerals you lose in every drop of sweat. This research study only dove into 8. There's 11 different vitamins. This research study only went into 3. So there's 8 more vitamins that are in the Hydrate Complete that you lose in your sweat that we have research studies for. There's 17 amino acids that build proteins in the body, muscle, you name it, brain, nerves, organs. Those need to be replaced. And then betaine anhydrous, we'll talk about that later. That's the 40th nutrient. Now let's dive into an NIH, the National Library of Medicine. Check this out. Nutritional needs in hot environments, applications for military personnel in field operations. The title of this article is, What are the effects of exercise and heat on vitamin requirements? This chapter addresses whether those individuals who expend greater amounts of energy in exercise. Do you like to exercise a lot? You listening to my podcast? Do you? Good. They're talking to you. Or work requires greater amounts of vitamins, and whether vitamin supplementation will enhance exercise performance. Also, we're going to examine whether exercise in a hot environment will lead to an increased requirement for certain vitamins and whether vitamin supplements will reduce heat stress. Vitamin B complex consists of 8 vitamins. Vitamin B1, which is called thiamine. Vitamin B2 is riboflavin. Niacin is vitamin B3. Vitamin B6, peroxidine. You'll see it there. Vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin. In this case, I only put methylcobalamin in my Hydrate Complete. You'll learn why. Biotin, folic acid, which is vitamin B9, and we put methylfolate in there, and pantothenic acid, which is vitamin B5. The quantity stored differs among the vitamins. For example, if an individual's diet is deficient in most of those B vitamins, clinical symptoms, meaning they have to now go to a medical doctor, clinical symptoms can sometimes occur in as little as 3 to 7 days. If any of those, most of any of those B vitamins are lost and not being adequately replaced in your diet. A vitamin C deficient diet can cause deficiency symptoms after a few weeks and can cause death from scurvy in 5 to 7 months. In the following discussion, these topics will be addressed for each vitamin. Changes in status by chronic exercise. What does the vitamin low in the body do as a result of exercise? Does it change? Do we lose vitamins? What's the effects of restriction or supplementation on performance in relationship to heat stress? If you don't have enough of these vitamins, what's the impact on performance in competition and athletics? What happens if they do supplement this? What's the impact on their performance? And they want to know, what's the relationship to heat? Yeah, we started this with heat stress, heat stroke, killing a young man at the University of Maryland. This is thiamine. This is vitamin B1 from this research study. Now they're going to summarize a few findings already about specific vitamins lost in sweat that have a direct impact on your health. So let's summarize what some of these are, because these are not found in all your sports and hydration drinks. They're all found in only one product, Nature Wins Hydrate Complete. Mills, a researcher in 1941, studied the effects of heat stress on young rats and found that optimal vitamin B1 intake for growth was increased at higher temperatures. The higher the temperatures go, the more thiamine they needed, vitamin B1. He also suggested that thiamine supplements should make workers in boiler or furnace rooms or in other types of heat exposure more resistant to heat effects. What is that? Dehydration, heat strokes, you name it. High blood pressure, you just learned. In 1941, this guy, Mills, was already studying what's the impact and loss of vitamin B1 and already was suggesting what he's already learned. Everybody should be supplementing vitamin B1 to those who are increasing the heat of their body in work environments. This will apply to all athletes who are raising their core body temperature while exercising. Thiamine loss in sweat is considered to be around 10 nanograms per 100 milliliter of blood. Working in a hot environment can produce sweat losses of up to 10 liters per day. So do the math. Multiply that 100 milliliters, you got 10 nanograms, and divide that 100 milliliters into 10 liters and multiply that times 10 nanograms. That tells you how much vitamin B1 you're losing. Vitamin B1, Nijakowski in 1966 did another study on vitamin B1 and wanted to know. He found that blood levels of thiamine, vitamin B1, were lower in male athletes compared with a control group. However, it is possible that the lower levels were due to plasma volume expansion in athletes. The more volume of plasma, maybe it was just less thiamine in their blood. Athletes were also treated after a 12-kilometer skiing expedition, and thiamine levels showed a further decrease. So as they went along and were exercising, their blood levels of vitamin B1 were going down. Suggestion was due to increased bodily requirements. Vitamin B1 was needed, so the body used it during the exercise. B complexes are essential for cardiovascular health, all of it. The more B vitamins we lose, the larger the heart becomes. That's called cardiomegaly, the higher the risk for congestive heart failure and high blood pressure, which is what's killing these athletes. And heart disease is the number 1 or number 2 cause of death every year of your life and my life. So this applies to all of you. Riboflavin, this is vitamin B2. One study found inadequate vitamin B2 status in 8 out of 18 athletes studied. This was in 1976. It has been suggested that exercise training may increase the need for vitamin B2. Belko, a research study in his team in 1983, found that the need for riboflavin in healthy young women increased when they participated in jogging exercises for simply 20 to 50 minutes a day. Are you exercising for 20 to 50 minutes a day? Guess what's right for you? Our Hydrate Complete is. Hydrate Complete. There is only one. Complete. So excited for people to benefit from this. This is a vitamin B3, otherwise known as niacin. Regard to niacin requirements in a hot environment comes from an early study that found that nicotinic acid, niacin, was lost in the sweat in significant amounts, not minuscule amounts, significant amounts. This goes back to 1943. As with thiamine and riboflavin, vitamin B1 and B2, niacin, called vitamin B3, intake should be proportional to energy intake. 6.6 milligrams of niacin for every 1,000 kilocalories. If energy intake is increased to meet the demands of exercise or work in a hot environment, then niacin should be increased as well. Niacinamide in large doses is not harmful. This is niacin. I repeat, it is not harmful. Acute ingestion, drinking our Hydrate Complete, but look at their doses, 3 to 9 grams per day, which is not in my Hydrate Complete, has also been shown to prevent the release of fatty acids, which may adversely affect endurance performance. Well, anybody who's competitive, anybody who's participating in a sport or an activity, do you want less performance endurance or do you want more? If you want more, you need niacin. Niacin, you need more. You might want to drink our Hydrate Complete before and after your workout. Vitamin B6, called pyridoxine. DeVoy and his team in 1982 reported that vitamin B6 supplementation may cause a faster depletion of muscle glycogen stores during exercise after ingestion of a low carbohydrate diet, and may accentuate a depletion loading manipulation used by athletes to increase glycogen stores for energy. So this guy reported that if you take vitamin B6 along with carbs, it can make you deplete muscle stored energy faster. We're going to keep going. Manor and Leclerc found that vitamin B6 supplementation along with increased carbohydrate consumption resulted in lower free fatty acids during exercise. So these look to be the opposites being reported. And this is not uncommon. You'll find one researcher finds something, another researcher finds the exact opposite. So we're just going to keep going here. I just want you to know this is what they've been researching. This is pantothenic acid, vitamin B5. Highly trained endurance runners who ingested 2-gram doses of vitamin B5 per day for 2 weeks showed decreased exercise blood lactate levels. Do you guys know what that is? You know, when you work out, run, and all your muscles are super sore, joints are sore the next day, the following day, and lots of people say, you know, no pain, no gain. That pain is lactic acid. Lactic acid is not beneficial. It has no benefit to you. It's just painful. Well, look what happens when you ingest vitamin B5 at adequate levels. They already know, for those who exercise and work out, NFL athletes, collegiate athletes, it doesn't matter, basketball, it doesn't matter. If you're exercising, if you're a CrossFit athlete, I don't care. You should be supplementing vitamin B5. It reduces lactic acid, which speeds up your recovery. And look at this. It decreased oxygen consumption. You needed less oxygen during prolonged exercise. How about that? This is vitamin B9, called folate or folic acid, and biotin. Biotin is often called vitamin B7. All right, folic acid and folate are involved with DNA synthesis, vitamin B9, with DNA production. and nucleotide and amino acid metabolism. And they are especially important in tissues undergoing rapid turnover, like all your muscles, ligaments, and tendons during exercise. And as they give you the example, such as red blood cells, which you're replacing all day, every day. Folic acid deficiency has been suggested to be the most common vitamin deficiency in humans and can result in anemia. Can anybody tell me out there if anemia would be beneficial to an athlete? Is anemia beneficial to non-athletes? No. All right, so folic acid is important, but biotin is important. Each of these play a role in healing, repair, and energy production. And also in our Hydrate Complete. All right, and you lose them in sweat. Here's your B complexes. Many studies, not a few, many studies have shown that a deficiency of more than one of the B complex vitamins could lead to a decrease in physical performance capacity. Did you know that? Are you an athlete? Do you want to finish the competition? Do you want to go till the final bell rings or dings or the timer runs out to zeros? If you'd like to perform better to the very end, B complexes are required. Deficiency of a combination of several B vitamins produce subjective symptoms of fatigue, loss of ambition, irritability, and pain and loss of efficiency during normal work. Per Vanderbeek in 1985. Vanderbeek and his team placed 12 men on the thiamine, riboflavin, vitamin C, and vitamin B6 poor diet for 8 weeks. So they avoided them of those nutrients. After 8 weeks, this diet caused borderline or moderately deficient blood levels of the 4 vitamins. So they realized after 8 weeks, they confirmed in their blood, yeah, there was less vitamins of each of these in the blood. These deficiencies were associated with a 9.8% decrease in oxygen volume and a 19.6% decrease in anaerobic threshold. Thus, a restricted diet of 21.3 to 32.5% of the Dutch RDA of these B vitamins, recommended daily allowance of these B vitamins and vitamin C, led to decreased endurance capacity within just a few weeks. Each of those are in our Hydrate Complete. Why? Because they are lost at significant levels in the sweat. B complex vitamins continued. Early and Carlson in 1969 suggested that vitamin B complex supplementation could enhance exercise in the heat because these water-soluble vitamins may be lost via sweating. Well, this is back in 1969. Yeah, they already figured this out since then. They studied the effect of one dose of a vitamin B supplement, which contained 100 milligrams of thiamine, 8 milligrams of riboflavin, vitamin B1 and B2, 100 milligrams of niacinamide, which is niacin, 5 milligrams of peroxidine, vitamin B5, vitamin B6, and then 25 milligrams of cobalamin, which is vitamin B12, and 30 milligrams of pantothenic acid, which is vitamin B5. Those are the doses they found in 1969. They gave those to them in a supplement form. High school males were given either the supplement or a placebo 30 minutes before running 10 50-yard dashes during hot weather. The running times were recorded for each trial. The group that received the supplement showed less fatigue, less drop-off in running time over the trials. Ask your doctor if supplementing B vitamins and vitamin C are right for you, because they are. All right. Here's vitamin C. Ask your trainer, ask your coach, ask your athletic director if Hydrate Complete is right for you, because it is. I'm about to show you. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid. An interesting letter in 1979 regarding vitamin C intake and heat stroke appeared in a medical journal, and his excerpt is below. In 1951, a salesman with an Indiana, Illinois district, so he works and sells something in Indiana and Illinois, sustained a heat stroke. Remember the kid at the University of Maryland? Thereafter, if the temperature rose to more than 29.5 degrees Celsius, I'm going to show you what that temperature is in Fahrenheit. You'll be shocked. If the temperature rose to more than 29.5 degrees Celsius, he got sick, very weak, and shock-like. He thus missed most of his summer sales work, since air-conditioned cars were not common then, on a hunch from an old army tale from World War II. This person had him take 100 milligrams of vitamin C, ascorbic acid, 3 times a day during only the summer months. Even though temperatures stayed at about 32 degrees Celsius and higher, he was able to drive his non-air conditioned car and function. If he forgot to take his vitamin C, he got sick. Want to see what the temperature is? I'll show you. Here it is. Here's the temp. 29 degrees Celsius was 85 degrees. Now, I was shocked when I saw that. I don't have that whole chart memorized, Celsius conversion to Fahrenheit degrees. I can look it up. This guy would get sick, very weak, shock-like, and would miss most of his ability to go out and work in the 1950s as a salesman in Indiana and Illinois. Imagine if he lived in Arizona or Texas or Florida. Holy cow. Could you imagine? I'd never guessed that it was 85 degrees Fahrenheit. If it got above 85 degrees, he got sick. And a friend was like, oh, wait, I remember from World War II when I was there. They used to give us vitamin C during those hot days to prevent heat stroke. So we just had him do, as you read, had him take 100 milligrams of vitamin C 3 times a day. There's a reason why vitamin C is in our Hydrate Complete. Number 1, you lose it in your sweat. Number 2, it's required to maintain healthy, adequate health. In fact, this guy's work health was improved as long as he did that. It didn't matter. It even says, even though temperature stayed at 32 degrees Celsius, so it was higher than 85 degrees, so probably in the 90s. Sturdom and his team, another research group in South Africa, they placed 60 mining recruits into 3 groups and administered a placebo, and then gave some vitamin C, some of them 250 milligrams a day, or vitamin C at 500 milligrams a day for just 10 days. During the supplement period, the subjects were exposed to temperatures of 33.9 degrees Celsius. I'm going to show you that temperature for 4 hours per day while working at an intensity of 35 watts. Measurement of rectal temperature showed that vitamin C supplementation enhanced the rate and degree of acclimatization with no difference between the 2 levels, 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams of vitamin C. How hot was this? 93 degrees Fahrenheit. The same laboratory, Coates in 1977, performed a similar experiment, but blood ascorbic acid levels were also assessed daily during the 10 days of heat stress. Resting blood vitamin C levels increased by the same amount in subjects receiving either 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams of vitamin C supplementation. So if you gave them 250 milligrams or 500 milligrams, they had the exact same amount of vitamin C in their blood, and blood levels reached the saturation point between the 3rd and the 5th day. So for all of you out there like, yeah, I'd like to crunch the numbers. I've got some coupons for vitamin C. How much Immune C from the Dr. Ardis show should I buy, which is primarily vitamin C? Notice 250 milligrams and 500 milligrams produce the same blood result of vitamin C. So if you're shopping for a deal, you get the same benefit from 250 milligrams as you do 500 milligrams. Just letting you know. The increase in blood ascorbic levels were associated with a reduction in rectal temperature, internal body temperature, and a reduction in total sweat output. Wow, look at there. So you lose less minerals. The maximum beneficial effect of the supplements in reducing rectal temperature occurred over the first 3 days of heat stress. Amazing. Out of that research study, I'm going to show you. These are the vitamins and their totals lost in every drop of sweat. Here's vitamin B1, thiamine is vitamin B1. Vitamin B2 is riboflavin. Vitamin B3 is nicotinic acid, otherwise called niacinamide or niacin. Pantothenic acid is vitamin B5. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. Pyridoxine is vitamin B6. And folic acid is vitamin B9. What Dr. Ardis found to keep someone hydrated. Okay, now we're going to start diving into the minerals. I mentioned magnesium is one of the most essential minerals required to keep adequate temperatures in the human body regulated by your hypothalamus. Look it up. I mentioned it earlier. Go look up which part of the human body regulates core body temperature. Google it, and you will see it's the hypothalamus in your brain. Next question is what mineral is required to maintain adequate core body temperature? And you will read on Google that one mineral is magnesium. So as we lose magnesium, guess what you lose? The ability to control core body temperature to either keep you from getting too hot in the case of a heat stroke or febrile seizure. Yes, it's related to febrile seizures or fever seizures, or getting too cold and becoming hypothermic. Got it. All right, so let's dive into magnesium first. This is the connection between magnesium and heart health, understanding its impact on cardiovascular wellness. All right, so magnesium, cardiovascular. Remember, we're trying to prevent heat strokes, death, heart attacks, cardiac arrest. Magnesium improves the function of the cardiovascular system by acting on the membrane ion flow pumps, encouraging the endothelium-dependent blood vessel dilation, dilating the blood vessels, reducing blood pressure, reducing inflammation, and boosting insulin and glucose breakdown. Magnesium inhibits coronary vessel spasm. You spasm an artery, blood pressure goes up. Plays a critical function in regulating vascular muscle tone, that's magnesium, and consequently, magnesium has an impact positively on systemic arterial blood pressure and provides protection against stimulated activity through antagonistic impact on two calcium channels. Now, listen to me, this is important. There are drugs now being prescribed by the millions to heart disease patients. They're called calcium channel blockers. Do you know magnesium is the antagonist to those calcium channel blockers? You don't need drugs. You are magnesium deficient. You don't need to block calcium. Magnesium does it itself. Transient type and long-lasting L type. Magnesium is also essential for the exchange of potassium for protons. Think acid reflux. Magnesium is also essential for the exchange of potassium for protons, as well as for preventing potassium loss. Leg cramps, Charlie horses, muscle cramps. This process is impaired by hypomagnesemia, low magnesium levels, which also encourages the increase of cytoplasmic sodium and calcium levels. Magnesium dictates how much salt calcium balances in the body. The excess of calcium inside the cells is linked to heart ischemia, heart disease, which negatively impacts heart function. In addition, competing for the same binding sites as calcium, I just mentioned calcium channel blockers, you don't need those. You are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium might restrict the extent of the infarct, a heart attack, and death of heart muscle by minimizing coronary vessel contractions, keeping them relaxed, lowering damage from oxidation from myocardial infarction, heart attacks, and enhancing endothelial-dependent, the lining on the inside of your arteries, dilation of those blood vessels, dilate them through the production of nitrous oxide during myocardial ischemia. So they're saying magnesium, even in these terrible heart conditions, magnesium is essential to protect you for worse outcomes. In a study conducted by Abbott and his team, they took 7,000 men aged 45 to 68 in a Honolulu heart program, where 24-hour food recall techniques were employed to assess magnesium intake. Both studies discovered a link between a lower incidence of heart disease, coronary heart disease, and a higher level of magnesium in their diet. Ask your doctor if magnesium is right for you, because it is. Zhang and his team reported results from the Japan Collaborative Cohort Study, which involved 58,615 Japanese adults in the age group 40 to 79. Are you in that age range? Whose dietary magnesium consumption was measured by food frequency questionnaires. Food magnesium intake, eating foods high in magnesium, was found to be inversely linked with death. The more magnesium they ate, lower the risk of death, and a lower risk of coronary heart disease and ischemic strokes, leading to death. I don't know, is magnesium right for you? It is. Ask your cardiologist if magnesium is right for you. Now let's look at the impact of heat stress, because we talked about heat strokes. This is one of the major pulls and pushes that got me to go participate in researching as much as I could about the impact of loss of minerals and vitamins across the board in all athletes. What do they all have in common? They're young. They're dying of heart disease. Why? And heat stroke. Why? The only direct correlation is vitamins, minerals lost in sweat of all these athletes is not being replaced in adequate amounts by any hydration drink on the planet. That's why this was born. 7 years of work and research. All right, this is from aquaculture. This has to do with a fish called tilapia. Please stay patient with me. You just need to see this because it's important. Heat stress remediation. Whatever heat does to these fish, it's remediated and reversed with selenium. And yes, we have selenium at the Dr. Ardis Show. Heat stress remediation by dietary selenium. It's also in our Hydrate Complete. By dietary selenium nanoparticle supplementation in Nile tilapia, reared in brackish water. Climate change, they say, poses significant challenges to the expansion of aquaculture production. They're saying as the world is heating up, picture heat stress, exercise, steel workers, you name it, boiler room workers like we've already quoted, sauna users, hot yoga people. As the temperature of the earth is going up, it's affecting the fish too. Okay. As the temperature you're living in, it affects you also. The present study aimed to evaluate the potential benefits of dietary selenium supplementation in tilapia fish reared in brackish water for 9 weeks, followed by a 4-day heat stress challenge. Fish were fed diets containing 0 selenium, or 0.5 milligrams of selenium, or 1 milligram of selenium, or 2 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight. They gave them selenium during 9 weeks of rearing. Results indicated that dietary selenium significantly improved growth performance, feed efficiency, survival rates, and intestinal activities of digestive enzymes. Dietary selenium also improved various antioxidant and immune system measurements in blood, intestines, and their liver. Selenium supplementation boosted liver production of glutathione peroxidase, reduced glutathione, which is the antioxidant that is the most potent at preventing neurological diseases and injury diseases in the human body, and total antioxidant capacity before and after the heat stroke or heat stress. Dietary selenium effectively mitigated stress-induced increases in blood sugar levels, alanine, which is an amino acid, aminotransferase, aspartate aminotransferase. Those are actually ALT, AST, liver enzyme inflammation markers, and hepatic malondialdehyde, which I don't even know what that is. But it was good that it lowered that. While heat stress elevated blood cortisol, while heat stress raised the cortisol in the fish, the stress hormone, and decreased plasma T3, T4 hormones. Did you know that heat decreases T3, T4 hormones from your thyroid? Did you know tilapia had thyroids? And hepatic superoxide dismutase activity, selenium supplementation counteracted these adverse effects. Oh my God, selenium, even in fish. I wonder if selenium is good for you. Yeah, it is. If it's good for the tilapia, it's good for the human on land. In conclusion, these findings suggest that selenium supplementation, particularly at 1 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, can enhance the sustainability of fish called tilapia in the Nile River under climate change. How about that? Associations of blood levels of vitamin B9 called folate and homocysteine concentrations of all free radicals that circulate in the body and cause disease, cause plaquing in your arteries and blood clots. Homocysteine is to blame. This is the association of vitamin B9 that is lost in every drop of sweat and is a complication of dehydration, and you need to replace the vitamin B9, and the levels of homocysteine concentration and the correlation to the amount of vitamin B9 in your blood, which correlates to the amount of homocysteine in your blood, and what's the relationship to all-cause mortality of death, cardiovascular disease, and cancer in men and women in Korea. This is a cardiovascular disease association study. This study aimed to show the folate sufficiency, vitamin B9, was associated with a lower risk of all-cause mortality, with a nonlinear inverse association in men, and a higher homocysteine concentrations were associated with an increased risk of all-cause and cardiovascular disease mortality in men and women. As you took vitamin B9, there was an inverse relationship. If they took vitamin B9, they didn't die. The associations of blood vitamin B9 and homocysteine concentrations with cardiovascular, coronary vascular disease. Wait, hold on. I might be reading that wrong. It is cardiovascular disease. I thought there was 3 words. It's not. It's CVD. The associations of vitamin B9 and homocysteine concentrations with cardiovascular disease death were primarily driven by their effects on stroke mortality. So the reason why they died from cardiovascular disease was primarily due to stroke, which is included in the cardiovascular disease category. Participants with both folate deficiency, vitamin B9, and high levels of homocysteine showed a significantly higher risk of all-cause cardiovascular death and cancer-related death than those with normal levels of vitamin B9 in their blood and lower levels of homocysteine. I'm not even through the majority of these vitamins and minerals in our Hydrate Complete. I hope if you care about yourself, your health, your loved ones, hopefully you're continuing to watch. If you don't want to listen to me roll through these, go download the PowerPoint or just buy the Complete Hydrate. But I encourage you to read the research proof studies on our product page at the Dr. Ardis Show. And remember, put in your pre-sale order now, and you can actually, it'll start shipping guaranteed by December 29th. This month, we found that the folate deficiency was associated with higher all-cause of death and cardiovascular death-related mortality, and found a nonlinear inverse relationship between the levels of vitamin B9 and all-cause mortality. The lower your vitamin B9 in your blood, the higher risk of death. The higher the vitamin B9, the inverse correlation was more death. The higher vitamin B9, the lower the death rates. The lower the vitamin B9, the higher the death rates. That's an inverse relationship. A study of U.S. adults also found a nonlinear inverse association between blood levels of vitamin B9 concentrations and all-cause cardiovascular disease-related and cancer-related deaths. And another study in Japanese adults, blood levels of vitamin B9 had an inverse association with all-cause mortality for folate concentrations of less than 25 nanometers per mole. All right, so just to summarize, not only America, Japan, Korea, and other countries have been investigating the amount of vitamin B9 in the human body and all-cause mortality or death, including cardiovascular diseases. And they have found that as you lose vitamin B9 or you're deficient in vitamin B9, which is lost in every drop of sweat, it should be replaced. If you don't replace it, you lose it, you become deficient, and you will develop an increased risk of all cancers, death, and cardiovascular death. The benefits of folic acid, vitamin B9 for stroke and cardiovascular disease prevention or cardiovascular death prevention were more pronounced in participants with lower baseline, beginning of the study, blood levels of vitamin B9. The benefits were greater in those who had lower levels of vitamin B9 in that study. The potential benefits of vitamin B9 may be more evident in populations with folate deficiency and relatively low folate concentrations in men compared to that in women, may partially explain the sex differences, they say, in their findings. Consistent with this study, men recorded lower blood levels of vitamin B9 than women. Women listening, do you have a man in your life or a son in your life? Are they athletes? They need vitamin B9. And methylfolate is what's in our Hydrate Complete. An adequate therapeutic replacing dose. In a previous Canadian study, so now we're in Canada, we've gone Korea, Japan, America, now we're in Canada, the prevalence of vitamin B deficiency, B9 deficiency, was higher in women than in men, and a significant inverse association between the levels of vitamin B9 in their blood and the women developing coronary heart disease was observed only in women. So in Canada, the lower their folate was, the higher their risk for coronary heart disease in women. Vitamin B9 and vitamin B12 deficiencies, of which vitamin B12 is also lost in every drop of sweat, and it's in our Hydrate Complete. Vitamin B12 and folate deficiencies are the most common causes of elevated homocysteine concentrations, which leads to blood clots and strokes. Consistent with our findings, a previous meta-analysis reviewing a whole bunch of studies found that elevated homocysteine concentrations were an independent predictor. The level of homocysteines is an independent predictor of all-cause death, cardiovascular death, mortality. And a dose-response meta-analysis found a linear positive relationship between homocysteine concentration and every reason people die. The higher the homocysteine, the more you die. The higher the risk of dying from anything. And guess what brings down homocysteine? Consuming vitamin B9, called folate. In this study, higher homocysteine levels were associated with an increased risk of death due to all cancers and gastrointestinal cancer. A moderate concentration, a lower but moderate level of vitamin B9 was associated with a reduced risk of respiratory cancer mortality in men. So lower risk of lung cancer in men. These are just different studies about the effect of vitamin B9. It is not just to prevent birth defects in you pregnant women who take vitamin B9 in your prenatals. That's why prenatals for pregnant women was ever invented, was because someone thought they found a correlation between vitamin B9 levels in pregnant women and the amount of birth defects of kids born. That is the number one reason all pregnant women are told by their OBGYNs to take a prenatal vitamin. Folate deficiency with high homocysteine was associated with increased cancer death in men and women. Vitamin B9 deficiency, which is lost in every drop of sweat, may be involved in cancer initiation. Did you hear that? Vitamin B9 deficiency may be involved in cancer initiation through DNA breaks caused by uracil incorporation and DNA hypomethylation. Uracil is what was in the COVID-19 vaccines. That was so deadly. Uracil and pseudouridine, just know vitamin B9 deficiency leads to that issue. DNA breaks. In addition to the association between vitamin B9 deficiency and high homocysteine, the production of homocysteine mediated free radicals and homocysteine thiolactone may lead to cancer. Okay, you need vitamin B9, people. Now let's dive into the Indonesian Journal of Sports Science and Coaching. The effect of 8 weeks of walking exercise and vitamin B9 supplements on blood levels of homocysteine levels in elderly non-athletes. Are you an elderly non-athlete? This research study is for you. In fact, I'm just going to tell you, this Hydrate's for you too, just so you know. The present study showed that after 8 weeks could significantly reduce. Actually, I can't even read that. It's underneath something else. Hold on. Let me go back here. Oh, sorry. The present study showing that walking for 8 weeks could significantly reduce plasma homocysteine. And they show you the names of all those researchers. They showed a significant decrease in total homocysteine in 62 to 70-year-olds following resistant exercises. Aerobic and mild activities may lower homocysteine and convert it into methionine and cysteine by boosting vitamin absorption, especially B vitamins, in elderly people's intestines. Now, just so you know, that is in our Hydrate Complete. You'll see. It appears that taking folate supplements along with walking exercise has a positive impact on reduction of blood levels of homocysteine in women, because the training plus folate group subjects experienced a more significant decrease in homocysteine concentration compared to the training plus placebo groups. Isn't that awesome? Folate helps to prevent all-cause mortality and death from homocysteine by supplementing with folate. And folate is just one of the 40 nutrients in our Hydrate Complete. Folic acid, one of the compounds related to group B vitamins, vitamin B9, plays an essential role in homocysteine metabolism cycles and prevents the conversion of methionine to homocysteine, which is a death-causing risk factor. Several types of research have been conducted on using vitamin B9 supplements or food fortification, adding B9 to food, in reducing blood levels of homocysteine. And they tell you that Tamadon, this researcher, observed a significant decrease in blood levels of homocysteine in adults after taking folic acid. Folic acid seems to be safe and effective supplement to reduce blood pressure and homocysteine. What? The conclusion of this research study from Indonesia, according to the current study's findings, walking exercise in 50 to 60-year-old women can lower plasma homocysteine and decrease the risk of cardiovascular illnesses. Exercise moderately and take folate supplements to lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. Mic drop, gone. Elderly, you need Hydrate Complete. Or at a bare minimum, you need methylfolate, vitamin B9. Now, another one of the vitamins lost in every drop of sweat that leads to dehydration symptoms and increases your risk of stroke is vitamin D. This is from Frontiers in Neurology. This is 2020 research study. Vitamin D and stroke, the effects on incidence of strokes, severity of strokes, and the outcome. How you recover depends on your vitamin D load. The potential benefits of supplementing vitamin D. Researchers are increasingly focusing more on the relationship between vitamin D and strokes. Did you know that? Literature reviews have identified vitamin D deficiency as an independent risk factor for strokes, highlighting the potential for using supplementation as a treatment for stroke. Oh my God, they're telling you to take Nature Wins vitamin D3 K2 inorganic MCT oil. It's also in our Hydrate Complete. We've talked about vitamin D ad nauseum for the last 5 years. The few randomized controlled trials examining the efficiency of vitamin D supplementation suggest that vitamin D intake could also improve stroke outcome and cardiovascular function. Another randomized controlled trial tested vitamin D calcium supplementation. After 6 months, vitamin D deficient patients who supplemented had a decreased mortality risk, death risk, compared with the control group, and were more likely to attain a good MRS functional outcome, whatever they were measuring the scale. All of it was improved in the vitamin D group. Vitamin D deficiency levels are a significant risk factor for ischemic strokes. Ask your cardiologist if vitamin D is right for you, because it is. Worsening stroke severity and outcomes have also been associated with vitamin D deficiency. Did you know that? Even if you have a stroke, it's worse if you're vitamin D deficient. Maybe you should start supplementing vitamin D like I do. Vitamin D supplementation may reduce ischemic stroke risk and outcomes. This is the Journal of Chromatography B. metabolomic, metabolomic. It should just say metabolic, I think. Metabolic stability of exercise-induced sweat. Now, our Hydrate Complete, it's complete because it gives you all 11 minerals you lose in every drop of sweat, all 11 vitamins you lose in sweat at specific doses determined by research that needs to be replaced back into the person. But it also has 17 amino acids. I already mentioned here, we have a comparison chart at the Dr. Ardis Show. You can go see it on our product page for Nature Wins, our brand of Hydrate Complete. There's a comparison chart, and I compared it to all the top brands of sports hydration drinks in the country. You will notice there's only one other brand that even has one amino acid in it, and it's called Prime, and it has 3. It's got the 3 what are called essential amino acids, valine, isoleucine, and leucine. So these are ones you cannot make in your body. You have to get them from the diet, and you lose them in very high amounts in your sweat, or in amounts in your sweat. I don't know what you think is high, but it's high enough to create problems. So when looking at this, you just need to know there can only be one best, one greatest, one most complete when it comes to what you're losing in your sweat. So what I'm about to show you is something, it's obvious. Most sports hydration drinks, medical professionals, health professionals dealing with dehydration every day and the effects of them, finding their patients in hospitals all day long, complaining of symptoms related to dehydration. None of them, I assure you, know much about amino acids lost in sweat and its impact on you and your health over the long term. So, and short term. So this is the metabolic stability of exercise-induced sweat. And in this study, they're going to highlight amino acids and its impact, what's found in sweat levels. And then I'm going to walk you through, not all of them, some of those 17 amino acids and the published research studies on the deficiency created by them in the human body, because you lose it in sweat if you don't replace it, and the benefits if you do replace it. All right, so what are the highlights of the study? Excreted sweat samples were analyzed and targeted. Sorry, keep tapping something here. Sorry. Excreted sweat samples were analyzed in targeted and untargeted experiments. Sweat metabolites were analyzed after stimulated skin and ambient exposure. The targeted analysis of sweat illustrates a large dynamic range among sweat amino acids. We lose a lot of amino acids in our sweat. The data show sweat metabolites are largely invariant for up to 90 minutes. You will lose a whole bunch of different variants of amino acids for at least 90 minutes. Yeah, you do. All right, so in section 3.1, sweat stability, amino acid quantification, quantitation. As previous untargeted metabolic studies have established, amino acids are the primary metabolites identified in excreted sweat. Wow, did you know that? Did you know it's already been determined in research studies that the metabolites that are most lost in your sweat are amino acids? These compounds represent a significant group of compounds for potential biomarker discovery efforts from this medium, this study, this group. Amino acids, for example, alanine, which is inside our Hydrate Complete, is the most abundant amino acid with overall values ranging from 99 micromoles, 35, I think that's micromoles, while a majority of the remaining amino acids are below 100 micromoles concentration at either storage condition in the human body. Let's keep going. Participant number 4. Okay, so they're going to walk through all of these individuals. Participant number 4 had increased threonine in his body and in his sweat. Participant number 6 produced lower concentrations in sweat of threonine. At the same time, these are different amino acids. At the same time, storage temperature, the data showed a significant difference in the sweat amounts of alanine, arginine, and threonine amino acids within specific individuals. Collectively, the results illustrate the differences in concentrations attributed to not only the analyte in excreted sweat, but also the individual participant. Everybody had different amounts of amino acids in their body when they sweated it out from the sweat that was collected. I'm just going to show you this chart because this is right out of the research study, and you'll see at the very bottom, all the way across, you'll see leucine, isoleucine. These are 2 what are called essential BCAs, they call them. You've seen BCAs on stuff, branched chain amino acids. Leucine, isoleucine, and valine. So they have isoleucine and leucine together, phenylalanine, prolamine, valine, tyrosine, alanine, arginine, lysine, threonine, and then glutamate, aspartic acid, arginine, methionine. So those are all the amino acids they're detecting in sweat. I just want to highlight this. Threonine, you see there, is the second most lost amino acid in sweat. Alanine was the first one, the highest. See that over here? Well, threonine, I just want you to focus on because I'm going to walk you through what threonine does. Threonine is the second most lost amino acid in your sweat. Would you like to know what the impact is if you do? Not replace it. This is the functions of this stuff. If you're losing your sweat, it's the second most lost amino acid, and you're not putting it back in and supplementing it. Threonine is an essential amino acid. It is vital for your health, but it cannot be made by your body and therefore has to be obtained from the diet or from our Hydrate Complete. This amino acid supports central nervous system, cardiovascular, liver, and immune system functioning, just to name a few. Don't you think it'd be important? It helps in the synthesis of another amino acid called glycine and another one called serine, which in their turn assist in the production of collagen, ligaments, tendons, ruptured Achilles, ruptured ACLs, MCL tears, tennis elbow, anybody? This threonine is required to make glycine and serine, which in turn are two amino acids that are required to produce collagen. Anti-aging, anybody? Collagen. Elastin and muscle tissue. Well, if you're working out, do you want strong muscles or do you want weak muscles? Do you want more muscles? You need threonine, people. Threonine aids building strong bones. Osteoporosis concerns anybody? Building strong bones and tooth enamel, cavities, periodontal disease, and speeds up a wound healing process. All of you working out, all of you exercising, anybody injured and sick, you heal faster with threonine supplemented after trauma or surgery by boosting up the immune system. Wow, that's just one of the 17 amino acids inside Hydrate Complete that is not in any other Hydrate product on earth, just so you know. And it is the second most lost amino acid in your sweat. Lysine, let's go to the next amino acid, which I will go back here and show you this chart. I want to see where it is. You'll see lysine down there. Let's see where that is. Lysine is right next to threonine. You'll see it's much lower, about half as much of lysine is lost in every drop of sweat per these research studies. Let's go back to lysine. So what is lysine? This is another amino acid. Lysine is recognized as an amino acid necessary as a building block for all proteins in your body. Have you guys ever noticed people that work out and exercise are all drinking whey protein, collagen protein? Yeah, okay. You need amino acids to build protein. And did you know you lose all those amino acids in every drop of sweat and you need to put it back in? Okay, so all the people drinking whey protein every morning to build muscle, they're trying to build muscle. Muscle is primarily made of protein. Proteins are made of amino acids. So if you're losing amino acids in your sweat that are required to make protein, you should probably put some back in through the diet. It plays a major role in calcium absorption, bone health, everybody, as well as in helping building muscle protein. Oh, being strong and fit. Besides, lysine aids in recovering from surgery or traumas. Exercising is traumatic, and marathons are traumatic. CrossFit's traumatic. I mean, these are all exercises that are traumatic to the body and helps your body produce hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. So it boosts the immune system, lysine does. This amino acid was also approved to depress the central nervous system while having anti-seizure properties. Whoa. What? You're welcome. These are just some of the reasons why Hydrate Complete should be right for you. Lysine is an essential amino acid, implying that it is important for human health, though our body cannot produce it. It's essential. We have to get it outside of us. So if you're not supplementing with lysine, or you're not eating food with lysine in it, or you're not supplementing with it, you might want to consider drinking our Hydrate Complete because it's in there. Lysine is a type of amino acids that are the building blocks of proteins. It is vital for proper growth. So please, for all you young athletes, please, for any of you that have kids in YMCA camps, I don't care what sports they're doing, little league stuff, I don't care. Please encourage the coaches to carry Hydrate Complete at all the practices, the games, you name it. It's vital for proper growth. It plays an important role in the production of carnitine, which is a nutrient that transforms fatty acids into energy, and it lowers cholesterol levels. In addition, this amino acid is proved to help the human body absorb calcium for bone health, like we've already mentioned, while playing an essential role in the formation of collagen. Collagen is your tendons, ligaments, bone, skin, you name it. a substance necessary for bones, connective tissues like skin, cartilage, and tendons. We started this slide for a reason. Naturally, people obtain enough lysine from foods, but athletes and vegans and people who do not like beans need more. A lack of lysine in the body can cause such symptoms as slow growth, fatigue, nausea, dizziness, and even reproductive disorders. Now, here's two others on that chart we showed of the amino acids being lost in sweat, and we put a red box around threonine. The first two to the far left are called branched chain amino acids, BCAs. Two were combined in one column. It's leucine and isoleucine. That's these. What's the role of leucine in the body? Both these amino acids have many essential roles in the body. Leucine is important for the general health of muscle. Okay, everybody, I'm going to stop right here. Do any of you have concerns of heart health? Do you have a family history of heart disease and you want to do your best to prevent it? Every time you see in these research studies the words important for general health of muscles, do you know your heart is a muscle? Leucine is important for the general health of muscle. In general, you have skeletal muscle, cardiovascular muscle. Okay. It can stimulate protein synthesis, which is required for bone, muscle, tendon, ligament, and reduce protein breakdown. Thank God, especially of muscle protein following physical trauma like exercise. Deficiency in these two, which we showed you how much is lost in every drop of sweat. Isoleucine deficiency is most common in older people and can lead to the weakening and wasting of muscle and tremors. Ask your doctor, ask them if Hydrate Complete is right for you. Leucine deficiency is much less common, but can lead to similar symptoms such as muscle weakness and blood sugar fluctuations. Daily leucine intake, this is a research study, is positively associated with lower limb, your legs, skeletal muscle mass. If you supplement with leucine, you typically have stronger leg muscles and strength in the elderly. Are you elderly? You should be drinking Hydrate Complete. And there's only 40 reasons why. There's a whole bunch of nutrients in there just for you. Deprivation of amino acids, namely leucine, is thought to impair the phosphorylation of the mechanistic target of rapamycin complex 1, a pivotal pathway linked to anabolic responses. The impaired anabolic response to feeding partially accounts for losses in skeletal muscle and strength during aging. However, high protein intake with increased amounts of leucine seems to mitigate this phenomenon. All this muscle wasting that old people have, that goes away when they eat protein and take leucine. Acute and short-term trials, up to 2 weeks, with leucine supplementation of 3 to 4 grams per meal in older adults have shown robust increases in muscle protein synthesis. Are you experiencing muscle wasting? Did you know prescription medications like prednisone and others, it's a published side effect. It destroys muscle. You might want to start making sure you eat protein and start supplementing with leucine, or at least drink Nature Wins Hydrate Complete that has leucine in it. Based on appealing acute findings of leucine supplementation, this amino acid we're still talking about, they observed a researcher and his team observed a positive and significant correlation between leucine intake, swallowing it, and muscle mass index in healthy, middle-aged, non-obese individuals, aged 50 to 64 years old. Similar results were observed in older people, older than 65, with a significant correlation between leucine intake and hand grip strength. So if you were supplementing with leucine, there was a significant increase in the muscle strength, hand grip strength. But that goes for the whole body. Our results expand the literature by showing the importance of leucine, this amino acid, intake for muscle mass in individuals older than 65 years old. So elderly, Hydrate Complete, is it right for you? Ask your doctor. It could be speculated, well, I am a doctor, so maybe you just want to ask me. It could be speculated that consuming higher amounts of leucine daily increases its availability within the muscle, potentiating increasing muscle protein synthesis in older individuals. You're welcome. We demonstrated that total daily leucine intake is associated with muscle mass and strength in healthy older individuals. Furthermore, our breakpoint analysis revealed non-linearities and potential threshold for habitual leucine intake, which may help if you're taking leucine every day, which is in our Hydrate Complete. Do one a day. which may help guide clinical nutritional practice aimed at mitigating, reducing the morphological and functional declines associated with aging. If you would like to take a nutritional approach to trying to reduce the effects of aging, leucine should be considered, which is just one of the 17 amino acids in our Hydrate Complete. The next amino acid is valine. So valine, leucine, isoleucine are those three branch chain amino acids considered essential. Valine, benefits, deficiency symptoms, and food sources from vitaminsmineralsupplements.org. I want to read the statement out of the paragraph. We just blew it up a little bit so you can read it. Valine, an essential amino acid, has a stimulant effect. In bold, it is needed for muscle metabolism, tissue repair, and the maintenance of a proper nitrogen balance in the body. Now, I'd like to go back to the first sentence in that paragraph. Valine, an essential amino acid. Essential amino acid, by definition, means you don't get it. You don't make it in the human body. You have to acquire it through your diet because your body doesn't make it. Valine is found in high concentrations in muscle tissue. It is one of the branch chain amino acids, which I mentioned earlier, which means that it can be used as an energy source by muscle tissue. It may be helpful in treating liver and gallbladder disease, and it is good for correcting the type of severe amino acid deficiencies. Valine, in this research study from Oxford Medical Journal, from Biosciences, Biotechnical, Biochemical Journal, it is titled, this amino acid study, Valine improves mitochondrial function and protects against oxidative stress. Well, guess what working out is? Stress. Physical stress leading to more oxidative stress and more lactic acid production in the body. Valine improves mitochondrial function. Now, to remind you, mitochondria in every cell of your human body is the little energy battery factory that makes all the energy in your body, called ATP. All right. Similarly, we found the mitochondrial biogenesis and dynamics by increasing the expression of levels of PGC1. Just stay with me here. They are looking at, does valine increase mitochondrial function? Mitochondria play a predominant role in regulating energy metabolism. They also produce ATP, which I just mentioned, and oxygen consumption, and for the maintenance of cellular functions. We also observed an increase in total ATP production in these cells following valine treatment. So when they gave them valine, they saw more ATP production, which is energy. So if you want more endurance, performance, you need to be supplementing valine, which emphasizes the crucial role mitochondrial oxidation or oxidative phosphorylation plays in sustaining energy status. If you're running a marathon, you need valine, you need endurance. If you're trying to complete an activity or a competition or a WOD, workout of the day, whatever it is, valine, you might want to consider supplementing. It's essential. Interestingly, our findings highlight the important part that valine plays in improving mitochondrial activity at electron transport complex levels, including complex 1, 2, and 4. Muscle tissues are most vulnerable at high risk of oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can impair mitochondrial oxidation and worsen metabolic disorders, increase blood pressure, increased waist size, increased blood glucose and cholesterol. Extreme levels of oxidative stress production can impair skeletal muscle function by harming the cells through oxidative stress. Our results of this study indicate that valine significantly reduced mitochondrial oxidative stress production and thus can help in promoting the growth of muscle. Valine can help in promoting the growth of muscle and the healing of damaged tissues. Every day you work out, you're damaging tissues. Valine helps. Valine you lose in every drop of sweat. Valine's in our Hydrate Complete. Interestingly, valine also protects the cells by sustaining oxidative phosphorylation and generating more ATP for energy supplementation to counter the effects of hydrogen peroxide-induced oxidative stress. So they stress cells in the lab with hydrogen peroxide, and they found that valine produces more energy in the cells that helps them to counter oxidative stress that they replicate in the lab with hydrogen peroxide exposure. Now, this is another amino acid called beta-alanine. The effect of beta-alanine supplementation on performance, cognitive function, and resiliency in soldiers who are also wearing a lot of clothes and sweating, and many of them are in the deserts of the world. All right. So this is in the section 10 titled beta-alanine supplementation and exposure to heat stress. Beta-alanine is another one of the 17 amino acids in our Hydrate Complete, and another one you lose in sweat. Exertional heat stroke, which is what Jordan McNair died of, this 19-year-old football player at the University of Maryland in 2018, is a typical injury in competitive athletes. Wow, did y'all know that was typical? As well as in soldiers, and a common cause of death among military recruits. Did you know that? Did you know military recruits commonly die from heat stroke? Anybody in the military? Anybody got connections to the military? We need to get this Hydrate Complete into every single base around the world. A recent study examined whether beta-alanine supplementation can provide a degree of resiliency to animals exposed to heat stress. Why do they study animals? Because animals have the exact same genes as humans. Animals were provided with 30 days of beta-alanine mixed with glucomannan, which is sugar, food, in an 80-20 ratio at the same dose. A total of 30 milligrams of powder was dissolved in 25 milliliters of water. This supplement protocol has been demonstrated in several studies to significantly increase brain carnosine levels. Following the supplementation protocol, animals were exposed to heat stress. So they supplemented them for a while, then they exposed them to really high heat. Animals that were supplemented with beta-alanine experienced an attenuated thermoregulatory response to the acute heat exposure. When we gave the heat exposure to these animals that supplemented beta-alanine, they didn't have the horrible outcomes that the other animals did that did not get beta-alanine amino acid supplemented. In addition, animals supplemented with beta-alanine also had an attenuated, stopped inflammatory response. The beta-alanine prevented inflammation and a lower thermoregulatory stress. Their hypothalamus didn't have to work so hard to try to bring their temperature back to regular. The results suggest that beta-alanine supplementation prior to exposure to heat stress. Drink your Hydrate Complete, people, before you're exposing yourself to heat. Hot yoga, sauna, you name it. Read it. Those who took beta-alanine supplementation prior to exposure to heat stress may attenuate, stop inflammatory responses, maintain neurotrophin and neuropeptide levels, and potentially increase the survival rate during heat stroke and heat stress. Listen, they just told you. Competitive athletes die from heat strokes. It's common. It's common for soldiers, and it's the most common cause of death among military recruits. Ask your doctor if beta-alanine is right for you. And when he says yes, or if he says, I don't know anything about it, tell him to watch the Dr. Ardis show. Tell him to go to naturewins.com, thedrardisshow.com, and read all the research studies, proofs on why Hydrate Complete was created. In the Journal of Nutrition, we're now going to talk about the next amino acid, histidine, which is also in our Hydrate Complete, one of the 17 amino acids, and it's also not in any other hydrate product on the planet. This is the benefits and adverse effects of histidine supplementation. The beneficial effects of histidine, which is an amino acid, may occur through the metabolism of histidine to carnosine or histamine. Now, you guys may not know this. Histamine, we all hear about Benadryl, allergic reactions. Did you know histamine is actually very beneficial to the brain? All right, you're about to learn. So they're giving credit to histidine may be beneficial because it metabolizes into carnosine and histamine, metabolic products that have roles in allergic responses, gastric secretions, cognitive function, and oxidative stress, and cardiometabolic health. Cardio is heart health. Histidine, together with alanine, which is another amino acid in our Hydrate Complete, which we've already discussed, forms the dipeptide carnosine, which is a combination of alanine and histidine, which is highly concentrated in skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. You want a healthy heart? You want healthy skeletal muscles, biceps, triceps, quads, hamstrings, calf muscles. You need histidine. You need alanine. They combine to form carnosine, which is in your heart muscle and in your skeletal muscles. And it's in your brain tissues. Histamine, another metabolic product of histidine, is a mediator in allergic responses. If there's too much histamine, you get the big responses. It's important in gastric secretions, that's your hydrochloric acid, and neurotransmission, acetylcholine, nicotine, Concentrations of histamine have been shown to respond to dietary intake of histidine. So if you have high levels of histamine and you take histidine, for example, rats fed a diet containing low amounts of histidine compared with normal histidine concentrations demonstrated a reduction in histamine concentrations in the brain that were associated with cognitive impairments. Excess histamine, decreased cognitive function. You supplement histidine, histamine goes down. If you supplement histidine, histamines go down. That cause cognitive impairments. The cognitive impairments in the rats fed this low histidine containing diet can be attributed to impairments in the interaction of histamine with its receptors in the brain. The brain contains histamine receptors and is involved in psychological functions related to anxiety, stress, appetite, and sleep. There you go. Now I'm going to go back to that because I want to make sure I just didn't read that wrong. Hold on. I want to read the second sentence. Concentrations of histamine have been shown to respond to dietary intake of histidine. For example, rats fed a diet containing low levels of histidine compared with normal histidine concentrations demonstrated a reduction in histamine concentration in the brain that were associated with cognitive impairments. Okay, I got that right. Bring it on. Just wanted to be sure. I like to be accurate. Let's make sure I didn't go any further. We already discussed that one. Good. All right, now we're going to go to taurine. Taurine, I have my own individual taurine supplement. I've educated you guys ad nauseum for the last 5 years why I thought that was important during COVID, for autism, blah, 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 blah. Taurine, amazing. All right, taurine is another one of these incredible amino acids that we lose in our sweat that has a direct impact on mental and cardiovascular function. And I'm about to show you. All right, it's also lost in our sweat, and it should be replaced. It is one of the 17 amino acids in our Hydrate Complete. The role of taurine in mitochondrial health. Energy is only produced by mitochondria in the cells of your body, including your skeletal muscle, and no muscle or cell in the human body has more mitochondria than your heart muscle. So if you want your heart to be efficient, for endurance, performance, measurements to be increased, you have to increase your mitochondrial production of ATP energy. Taurine plays a role. Taurine is naturally occurring sulfur-containing amino acid that is found abundantly in excitatory tissues such as the heart, I just mentioned, where mitochondria are the most, brain, retina, and your eyes, and skeletal muscles. Taurine was first isolated in the 1800s. They've been studying this for a long time. In 1985, taurine was first approved as a treatment among heart failure patients in Japan. How many cardiologists in America recommend taurine to their heart patients? 0. But in 1985, that's 40 years ago, people. Actually, is it longer than that? No, it's 40 years ago. They've been doing this in Japan. Ask your cardiologist if taurine is right for you. If you're in Japan, they already know. Accumulating studies have shown that taurine supplementation also protects against pathologies associated with mitochondrial defects, such as aging, mitochondrial diseases, metabolic syndrome, cancers, cardiovascular diseases, and neurological disorders. Taurine is a simple but unique sulfur-containing amino acid that has multiple physiological functions, including the maintenance of mitochondrial health. Studies conducted, okay, we're talking about performance, athletics, all that with why we created Hydrate. You need energy. Your heart needs energy. It only stops and you have cardiac arrest when it doesn't have enough energy to beat. That's why all these amino acids are so essential, why the minerals are so essential. All right, studies conducted by Suzuki and colleagues have shown that taurine conjugates with or joins together with mitochondrial tRNA for proper codon-anticodon interaction to facilitate synthesis of mitochondrial encoded proteins. Inefficiency of taurine modification of mitochondrial tRNA promotes inefficient translation of mitochondrial proteins. If those two don't work together, taurine and mitochondrial tRNA, you have a problem, which are components of the electron transport chain, which is the only way the human body makes energy. We talk about the electron transport chain all the time. Dr. Henry Ely is an expert on mitochondria. Yeah, there you go. Chronic fatigue, insomnia, all related to mitochondria. Sports endurance. If you're pooping out before the game's over, you have a problem with your electron transport. Taurine also regulates intracellular calcium homeostasis. Oh, let me stop here. Electron transport chain. Okay, just know this. Copper wires that submit electricity to your home carry electricity to your home through a copper wire. Copper is a metal. It's also a mineral that you lose in your sweat that has a direct impact on your cardiovascular and mental health. The whole body is electric, just like copper wires. The electron transport chain is moving electricity through the body, through your cells. Okay. Just like electricity moves through wires to bring energy to your home and to your appliances. The word electricity comes from the word electron. So electron transport, moving electrons. That is really what all these transmitters used all over the world in bit are moving electrons along copper wires to provide you energy. And it's no different for the human body. Taurine also regulates intracellular calcium homeostasis, osteoporosis, anybody, and intracellular antioxidant activity, and inhibits apoptosis or cell death prematurely. As evidenced in many in vitro and in the body studies, clinical studies on taurine supplementation, the occurrence of mitochondrial dysfunction, reduced energy production, oxidative stress, and apoptosis are mostly inhibited by taurine. Taurine therapy, therefore, could potentially improve mitochondrial health, particularly in mitochondria-targeted pathologies such as cardiovascular diseases, metabolic diseases, mitochondrial diseases, and neurological disorders. Taurine deficiency is associated with dilated cardiomyopathy and aging. This is the Journal of Pharmacological Studies. Taurine deficiency associated with dilated cardiomyopathy, cardiac disease, heart disease, and aging. Well, if you talk about anti-aging and maintaining your youthfulness, taurine's required. And this is just one of the amino acids of the 17 lost in every drop of sweat that's found in our Hydrate Complete. Moyes and his team reported that foxes, which are mammals like humans, that foxes with a history of death from dilated heart disease in a farm had different levels of taurine in their blood than those that didn't die or have dilated cardiomyopathy. And that foxes with a history of death from dilated cardiomyopathy had the lowest levels of taurine. The activity of cysteine sulfonic acid decarboxylase, an enzyme involved in making taurine, was also less active in foxes with low blood levels of taurine. So heart disease in foxes directly related to the amount of taurine in their blood. Taurine treatment with dilated cardiomyopathy improves systolic function and other symptoms, indicating taurine deficiency causes cardiomyopathy in foxes. And I will say it here, if it happens in a fox, it'll happen in a human, indicating taurine deficiency causes cardiomyopathy in humans, in all mammals. And taurine is lost in every drop of sweat. Do you know how much? Do you replace it? First, taurine deficiency has been reported to adversely affect calcium sensitivity of the heart. And you need calcium to cause the heart muscle to contract. You need magnesium to relax it. So to initiate contraction, you need calcium. If you have too much of a contraction without it going into relaxation, or it's cramping too long before it lets go and cramp again, that's called arrhythmias, tachycardia, bradycardia. They'll often put you on calcium channel blockers. So calcium causes the contraction. Calcium channel blockers block calcium being absorbed. Magnesium counteracts all that, fixes it all. So listen, taurine deficiency has been reported to adversely affect calcium sensitivity in the heart. So it impacts your heart's rhythm. Beta-alanine, another amino acid we just talked about, I just want to mention, inhibits taurine transporter, which interfere with taurine uptake by the tissues. Okay, just want you guys to see this. Moreover, this author reported that, named Ramilla, reported that taurine depletion affects sacroplasmic reticulum, ATP production, associated with troponin phosphorylation in heart-isolated mice with this specific condition. Troponin is the marker they look for in your blood to see if you had a heart attack. Did you know that taurine helps to protect from you having heart attacks? Taurine deficiency may affect energy metabolism. Muzaffari, a researcher, reported that taurine depletion stimulates the rate of glycolysis, conversion of sugar into energy, and lactate production by using drug-induced taurine-deficient rats. Lactic acid is what creates all the pain for days after working out the first time. Concomitantly, we observe the accumulation of short-chain acylcarnitine in the heart of these mice, suggesting that incomplete fatty acid oxidation, the breakdown of fatty acids in mitochondria of taurine-depleted hearts. Thus, cardiac taurine depletion may impair the fatty acid oxidation to produce ATP. They can't produce ATP for the heart, and your heart will get tired. And anaerobic glycolytic pathways is compensatorily activated. Do you want to have heart disease? Become deficient in taurine. Taurine deficiency may affect intracellular osmolyte balance. This is very important. You have a cell. Inside that cell is water. Outside that cell is water. It's called the intracellular space inside, and then the extracellular space. What moves in and out of that cell, so magnesium will go from the cell to the blood, back from the blood inside the cell, that is called osmolyte balance. Okay. Since taurine deficiency may affect intracellular osmolyte balance, since one of the most important biological action of taurine is osmoregulation. Do you know what lymphedema is? Where your legs swell, water retention in your legs. This is an osmolyte imbalance. You have water retention anywhere in your body. You have osmolyte imbalance. Warscolat's group and our group separately reported that organic osmolytes like betaine, which is in our Hydrate Complete, amino acids, which are in our 17 of them are in our Hydrate Complete, and glycerylphosphorylcholine are increased in the heart of these injured, diseased mice. mRNA levels of carriers or biosynthesis enzymes of these metabolites, such as amino acid transporters, were increased in the heart of these mice. Organic osmolytes, including taurine, contribute to stabilizing to these heart disease proteins, suggesting that osmolyte imbalance due to taurine deficiency may affect sarcomeres, your heart muscle cells. Moreover, taurine deficiency causes organelle collapses. So there's inside of a cell, these little bitty things inside of them are called organelles. Mitochondria are one of those. Little bitty organs inside of cells. They're called organelles. Taurine deficiency causes organelle collapses, such as myofibril and mitochondrial breakdowns. Mitochondria make energy for the entire body, y'all. Y'all is a Texas term. I'm in Texas. Taurine deficiency leads to mitochondrial breakdown. The most mitochondria are found in your heart cells. So if you're low in taurine, guess which organ of the human body is going to suffer the most from mitochondrial breakdown and energy loss? Chronic fatigue, anybody? Yes, Hydrate Complete is right for you. Now let's go to taurine in sports and exercise. Why? Because this product was developed to try to prevent athletes from dying young and everybody else from dying young too. Taurine modulates fat metabolism. It helps oversee and control your body's ability to burn fat. Acute supplementation of taurine can increase lipolysis, breaking down fats, and reduce the contribution from glycolytic metabolism, breaking down blood sugars, breaking down fat, turning it into sugar so you can burn it, thereby altering the fuel utilization and metabolic efficiency of exercise. You can lose weight and become leaner faster with taurine. This is accomplished in part because taurine induces fibroblast growth factors. Well, that's amazing. What are fibroblast growth factors? I'm about to tell you. Are produced in fat cells and skeletal muscle tissues and play a role in body energy balance. They act as hormones that decrease blood sugar, decrease insulin, decrease triglycerides, decrease fat mass, decrease carbohydrate metabolism, and may also reduce body weight. That's what fibroblast growth factors do, and that is what taurine increases. Impaired levels of these growth factors could play a role in obesity and cardiovascular disease, and taurine is lost in every drop of sweat. Taurine may assist with regulating these growth factor levels by increasing fat metabolism and lipolysis through exercise. Exercise increases these growth factors by affecting their gene expressions. It doesn't even matter the exercise. All of you listening out there, if you're in an assisted living home, nursing home, and you're doing PT therapy, have a physical therapist come into your room. That is exercise. This would be right for you. Previous literature states that, exercise increases these growth factors by affecting their gene expressions. Previous research studies states that these factors, these fibroblast growth factors, are implicated in metabolic diseases such as obesity and type 2 diabetes. The lower those are, the higher your risk for obesity and type 2 diabetes. Taurine helps to make these obesity-preventing, diabetes-preventing molecules. Taurine can play a vital role in increasing anti-inflammatory markers, taurine derivatives, taurine chloramine, taurine bromamine, and taurolidine prevent vascular permeability. What does that mean? You ever heard of internal hemorrhaging, strokes? It prevents strokes. Taurine does. And this vascular permeability, which it prevents, is increased by inflammatory stimuli such as exercise. Did you know that? The inflammatory markers that lead to vascular veins, arteries, bleeding is reversed with taurine. but exercise increases those things that cause that. Ask your doctor or your physical trainer if taurine is right for you. The rise in inflammatory markers, interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein concentrations is related to the duration, intensity, and muscle mass involved during exercise, which could affect performance adaptations. The damage from exercise generates the inflammatory markers, interleukin-6 and CRP, which facilitates the influx. These two things bring in inflammation-causing neutrophils, monocytes, lymphocytes, and cells to repair the damage. When you're doing bicep curls and your biceps are really sore the next 2 days, that is the inflammation of interleukin-6, CRP, and they are going in there to repair the damage of the cells of your muscles you just ripped in half. That's how you build muscle. The body goes back in and repairs damaged, torn muscles. This injured muscle initiates a rapid and sequential invasion of inflammatory cell mediators that may persist for days or weeks. Yeah, it hurts. The anti-inflammatory cytokines, anti-inflammatory molecules, serve as mediators to initiate the breakdown of damaged muscle cells and tissues and repair of muscle tissue to promote tissue repair and performance adaptations. That's what taurine does. The effects of taurine supplementation on stress markers after exercise was performed in rats. Taurine was administered at 1 milliliter for every 300 milligrams per body weight in water for 15 consecutive days. Starting on the 14th day of supplementation, the animals were submitted to a 90-minute downhill run session in a constant velocity of 10 kilometers per hour. So they fed them this stuff, taurine, 300 milligrams every day for 15 days, but on day 14, they started making them run downhill. Taurine supplementation decreased superoxide radical production, inflammatory marker production. It reduced creatinine kinase. It reduced lipoperoxidation, all these inflammatory markers, and carbonylation levels, and increased total thiol content in skeletal muscle, which is required to build skeletal muscle. But it did not affect antioxidant enzyme activity after eccentric exercise. Taurine affects skeletal muscle contraction by decreasing oxidative stress in association with decreased superoxide radical production. If you want less pain and more gain, you need taurine. And taurine is lost in every drop of sweat. Just one of the 17 amino acids found in our amazing Hydrate Complete. We're getting there. I hope you're learning. You enjoying it? When I said this is a lot, this is the most comprehensive formula I've ever seen that I've ever created. And the dosing of each of these individual micronutrients and nutrients found in every drop of sweat that impacts the rates at which all athletes, non-athletes included, experience strokes, heart attacks, and heat strokes was very, very important that I get this just right. And we finally did. Now we're going to go to the next actual amino acid that's in our Hydrate Complete, one of the 17. This is glycine. This is the induction of glutathione, the most powerful antioxidant the liver makes and every cell of your human body makes to protect you from developing diseases, including high blood pressure, heart disease, neurodegeneration diseases like Parkinson's and MS. Induction of glutathione by glycine-based treatment mitigates atherosclerosis. Wait, what? Has your cardiovascular... Do you have a cardiologist in your life? Do any of you have atherosclerosis? Artery hardening, artery plaquing, and plaques, do you? Did you know that glycine reverses it? I'm going to show you. And is your cardiologist recommending outside of Eliquis and out of blood thinners like Coumadin, warfarin, and heparin, are they recommending glycine? Studies revealed that DT109, which is glycine, a form of glycine, induces glutathione formation in mononuclear cells. In your bone marrow derived macrophages, glycine and this DT109 attenuated superoxide formation induced by glycine deficiency. So they would get superoxide formation, which was bad when some animal was glycine deficient. And then when they gave them glycine in this DT109, it went up. This was abolished in BMDMs from glutamate cysteine ligase modifier subunit deficient mice in which glutathione biosynthesis is impaired. It didn't work in those mice. Metabolic flux and carbon tracing experience revealed that glycine deficiency, just one of the amino acids in our Hydrate Complete, inhibits glutathione formation in BMDMs, while glycine-based treatment induces de novo glutathione biosynthesis. Glycine deficiency causes less glutathione to be made. You supplement with glycine, glutathione goes up. Ooh, amazing. That prevents heart disease, heat strokes, and death. We demonstrated a causative role of glycine in atherosclerosis and identified glycine-based treatment as an approach to mitigate atherosclerosis. Ask your cardiologist if glycine is right for you. And it's in our Hydrate Complete. Through antioxidant effects mediated by induction of glutathione biosynthesis. In summary, glycine. In summary, we report that circulating glycine levels in your blood are lower in patients with SCAD, cardiovascular atherosclerotic disease. We show for the first time that glycine plays a role in atherosclerosis development. The lower the glycine, the more you're going to develop atherosclerosis. We further identified DT109 as a glycine-based treatment for atherosclerosis, independent of its lipid glucose lowering effects, and uncovered induction de novo glutathione stimulating hormone synthesis and antioxidant defense as a central mechanism of action. These research studies supports glycine-based treatments for type 2 diabetes, obesity, well-established risk factors for atherosclerotic diseases. Glycine supplementation is safe and well tolerated by humans, even at high doses. I repeat, glycine supplementation is safe and well tolerated by humans, even at high doses. Ask your cardiologist if glycine at high doses is right for you and if it's safe for you, because it is. Glycine in the metabolism, this is in the journal Metabolism. Glycine is a conditional essential amino acid and its relationship to serine, another amino acid. You're learning more about amino acids than you ever have in your whole life, probably, and that's okay. I have learned more about amino acids in the last 7 years I've ever known in my whole life, too. Glycine is a conditionally essential amino acid obtained from food and synthesized in the body, primarily from serine. Glycine deficiency has been reported due to inadequate protein intake, malnutrition, late gestation, diabetes, insulin resistance, and increased exposure to xenobiotics. A widespread impact on metabolism, including altered synthesis of glutathione, collagen, nucleotides, and 1-carbon units, impaired antioxidant defense, cytoprotection, conjugation, and neurotransmission, and increased levels of homocysteine, which we just learned was bad, are all correlated with low levels of glycine. It can therefore be assumed, rather than glycine alone, it's co-administered with serine is more appropriate in glycine-deficient conditions. Besides conditions associated with glycine deficiency, glycine is recommended as a daily dose of 2 to 10 grams, which is nowhere near what we put in our Hydrate, in a variety of indications without glycine deficiency. Glycine benefits have been demonstrated in allergy, neuropsychiatric disorders, schizophrenia, bipolarism, arthritis, stress-induced ulcers, and other conditions. The protective effect of glycine on ischemia, reperfusion injury, it has a unique practical potential. They've already determined. High glycine concentration increases collagen synthesis. If you're wanting to stay healthy, you don't want your tendons and ligaments ripping, do you? Become hardened like arthritis. High glycine concentration increases collagen synthesis. By articular, those that touch the bone, chondrocytes, bone cells, cartilage cells, collagen cells, that attach the collagen, tendon, ligament to a bone. Acute glycine deficiency could be an important cause of osteoarthritis, is the name of this article. And we lose glycine in every drop of sweat. Collagen synthesis is severely diminished in osteoarthritis. Severely diminished. Anybody out there have osteoarthritis? Hydrate Complete would be right for you. One a day. Thus, enhancing it may help the regeneration of cartilage. This requires large amounts of glycine, proline, and lysine. All three of those are in our Hydrate Complete and are lost in every drop of sweat. Previous works of our group have shown that glycine is an essential amino acid. Essential meaning you don't get it from you have to get it from outside the body in your diet. Your body doesn't make it, which must be present in the diet in large amounts to satisfy the demands for collagen synthesis. Cannot wait to see what happens to young athletes, old athletes, seniors, those who just are working out, trying to stay healthy when they start adding Hydrate Complete to their life. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to see what massive gains they see in all of their efforts. Cell growth and viability were measured by trypan blue dye exclusion method. Type 2 collagen was measured in the monolayer every 48 hours for 15 days by ELISA testing. Increasing concentrations of proline and lysine in the culture medium enhances the synthesis of type 2 collagen. What? Ligaments and tendons at low concentrations. But these effects decay before 1.0 millimeters. Increase or millimoles. Increase of glycine as of 1.0 micromoles exceeds these effects, and this increase continues more persistently by 60 to 75%. While the effect of glycine corresponds to a much higher range, these results demonstrated a severe glycine deficiency for collagen synthesis. Thus, increasing glycine in the diet may well be a strategy for helping cartilage regeneration by enhancing collagen synthesis, the making of collagen, which could contribute to the treatment and prevention of osteoarthritis. Ask your rheumatologist if Hydrate Complete is right for you. That has glycine in it as one of the amino acids that you lose in every drop of sweat. Increasing glycine in the diet could be a possible way of contributing to fight and prevent osteoarthritis to improve cartilage regeneration. To this end, our results suggest a viable strategy through increasing the amounts of these amino acids in the diet, as these deficiencies will obviously affect other connective or mechanical tissues such as bones, tendons, ligaments, and skin. We would like to remark that this conclusion might also will be applied to the treatment of these damaged tissues in conditions such as osteoporosis, which I mentioned a second ago. Anybody out there with osteoporosis? You might want glycine and the other amino acids in our Hydrate Complete. How incredible would it be too if you start using daily our Hydrate Complete product? Just one stick pack in a 16-ounce bottle of water and drink it. Imagine if your DEXA scan for your bone density reverses 6 months, a year after doing that every day. I would like to hear your testimonials of drinking an all-natural flavored, delicious, refreshing drink every day. And it is literally supporting your cartilage and bone formation. Now, this is called arginine. Arginine is the next amino acid that is lost in every drop of sweat, and it has massive implications on cardiovascular health. Arginine is one of the 17 amino acids. Now, they're going to mention proline here. Proline, which is in our Hydrate Complete, is one of those 17 amino acids. Proline is another potential product of arginine catabolism. Proline is the rate-limiting amino acid required for the synthesis of collagen. As fast as collagen can be made, proline has to be present. The less proline, the slower the rate. The more proline, the better. The addition of proline into proteins is slower than other amino acids, and the addition of consecutive prolines to produce collagen can lead to ribosomal stalling. Besides protein synthesis, proline production helps regulate cellular redox balance. Arginine-derived proline. Proline makes arginine. Arginine-derived proline has been proposed to be a bioenergetic substrate for mitochondrial ATP production. We keep talking about energy production for all you athletes out there, or those who are just tired, you want more energy or sustained energy. America runs on caffeine, it appears. I think you all need more energy. Maybe the lines will be less in the drive-thrus of all these coffee houses if they just were taking our Hydrate Complete every day, because now their body can make all the energy they want, called ATP. Now, arginine-derived proline is proposed to be a bioenergetic substrate for mitochondrial ATP production because there are mitochondrial enzymes that convert proline to glutamate, another amino acid in our Hydrate Complete, through proline catabolism that is subsequently catalyzed by proline dehydrogenase. I know that's hard for you to understand. Don't worry. I want to go back though. The most common amino acids in the extracellular proteins, such as collagen, are glycine and proline, another two amino acids in our Hydrate Complete. And I mentioned this, I keep talking about proline, but the study was about arginine, if you remember the title. But they were using proline as the precursor arginine in that study. Great. All right. Now, this is the effects of proline on the growth performance and blood parameters in weaned pigs. Pigs are mammals, you're a mammal. So what happened when they gave proline to these pigs? Let's see. Proline is one of those 17 amino acids in our Hydrate Complete that is lost in every drop of sweat. This trial was conducted to study the effect of proline on the amino acid on the growth performance and blood parameter in the weaned pigs. Factors being proline, were intraperitoneal injected with saline and 3 dietary L-proline supplement levels at 0%, 0.5%, or 1% proline. As a result, dietary supplementation with 0.5% proline had a tendency to increase the average daily gain of growth in these piglets during days 10 to 20. So proline had a big time impact at 0.5%, and they did 0.1, 0.5, and 1%. Supplementation with proline increased superoxide dismutase activity significantly on day 10 and 20, which is a super important anti-inflammatory, disease-protecting nutrient and molecule. These results indicate that proline supplementation could improve growth performance, increase this disease-protective SOD activity, superoxide dismutase, and has a positive effect on the gastrointestinal tract digestibility in early weaned pigs. And you too. Hydrolyzed peptides. Now we're going to dive into this. This is going to be fun. Hydrolyzed peptides. Peptides are nothing but short proteins. From purple perilla, which is a plant, seeds improve muscle synthesis and exercise performance in mice. Well, what's the amino acid in this plant? Well, let's show you. The purple perilla seed peptides were obtained, and their improvement of muscle growth and exercise performance was investigated in this work. This plant seeds were rich in branched-chain amino acids and anti-fatigue amino acids, including glutamate, aspartic acid, and arginine, all of which are in our Hydrate Complete. After the administration of these seeds that have these 3 amino acids at doses of 1.2 grams per kilogram for 4 weeks, the muscle coefficient and muscle fiber thickness in mice displayed a distinct increase in muscle via the upregulation of muscle-genic differentiation and myogenin. The improved muscle strength and exercise tolerance was also observed. Well, do you want more exercise intolerance and strength? Proline, aspartic acid, arginine, and glutamate are right for you. The biochemical blood markers associated with fatigue, simultaneously the levels of biochemical blood markers associated with fatigue and glycogen degradation in the liver and the muscle were significantly suppressed. Isn't that amazing? Are you tired? We should probably suppress those things that are causing you to be tired. And these 3 amino acids are proven to do that. But I want you to read this because I highlighted it. These results suggested. Now, I know you see they're doing this with animals, mice. These results from medical researchers, these results suggested that these seeds from this plant that contain glutamate, aspartic acid, and arginine effectively promote muscle synthesis and ameliorate exercise fatigue in humans. Do you struggle with muscle fatigue from exercise? Are you not building muscle fast enough? Are you not as strong? Is your strength levels not going up? You probably need aspartic acid, which is also in our Hydrate Complete. So now I want to highlight one of the amino acids they just referenced was in those seeds. Aspartic acid. What is this? Why is this so important? It's lost in every drop of sweat. It's not being replaced by any hydrate product on earth, except for Hydrate Complete. Aspartic acid, it is proved to play a major role in the energy cycle of your body. This amino acid is necessary for stamina, brain, and neural health, and it's lost in every drop of sweat or any episode of dehydration. Some time ago, aspartic acid was found to be very important in the functioning of RNA and DNA, as well as in the production of immunoglobulin and antibody synthesis to boost your immune system. So if you become deficient in aspartic acid, you're going to have a weakened immune system. Tyrosine. Man, I love tyrosine. Tyrosine is the amino acid required to make all your thyroid hormones, along with selenium and iodine we've educated all of you at. And with our Thyroid Complete and others. This is the next amino acid in our Hydrate Complete. It's called tyrosine. Tyrosine and stress, human and animal studies. This is the NIH. You can see here on the left. This is another one of the amino acids in our Hydrate Complete that is not in any other hydrate product on earth. The amino acid tyrosine may have beneficial effects on humans and other animals that are subjected to acute stressors. Exercise is acute stress. The adverse effects of hypoxia, low oxygen, cold, lower body negative pressure, and psychological stresses have all been reduced by treatment with tyrosine. Wait, what? Tyrosine, found in Hydrate Complete, helps to reverse the negative effects of hypoxia, lower body negative pressure, and psychological stresses. This amino acid may have protective effects on behavioral and cardiovascular parameters, that's your heart, because it prevents the depletion of central and peripheral catecholamines caused by acute stress, exercise, and emotional stress. Since a variety of environmental and psychological stressors appear to deplete catecholamines, tyrosine may have wide applications as a performance-enhancing ration component, which they abbreviated PERC, rationing amino acids for endurance and performance. Whew. Tyrosine is just one of the 40 nutrients and only one of the 17 amino acids inside Hydrate Complete. Tyrosine can be expected to be beneficial only when the stress is severe. Intense combat and similar highly stressful military operations are therefore the situations in which tyrosine could have the greatest benefit to the armed forces. Anybody out there with military connections, we need Nature Wins Hydrate Complete for all of our military. Sage Journals, a medical journal, reports this study. It's titled Lack of Behavioral Effects After Acute Tyrosine Depletion in Healthy Volunteers. Lack of behavioral effects after acute tyrosine depletion in healthy volunteers. What do we find? Acute dietary tyrosine depletion, which goes down with acute stress, like they just mentioned in the previous study, has previously been shown to reduce dopamine neurotransmission in both animals and humans. Dopamine, that's a feel-good hormone. Dopamine, also tied to Parkinson's disease, everybody. You lose it in every drop of sweat, and you lose it as a reaction to stress. In this study, we investigated the effects of brain dopamine depletion, which is exactly what they say is Parkinson's. In fact, the drugs most commonly prescribed for Parkinson's is L-Dopa drugs. Okay, dopamine. All right, we investigated the effects of brain dopamine depletion through acute tyrosine phenylalanine depletion, another amino acid, on plasma, prolactin, mood, and neuropsychological function. In a randomized double-blind crossover design, subjects received 2 amino acid drinks separated by a week, a nutritionally balanced mixture, and on the other occasion, a tyrosine and phenylalanine deficient mixture. They just took it out, these 2 amino acids. The plasma ratio in the blood of tyrosine and phenylalanine to the other large neutral amino acids decreased significantly, and there was an increase in plasma prolactin concentration relative to the balanced drink that had tyrosine in it in the 7 subjects for whom results were available for both occasions. So you need both. Now, this is arginine. I think I've already actually shown this one. Actually, I think I may have shown you the wrong title in the arginine one previously, or this is just arginine. Hold on. We got to go into this. Remember, proline is dependent to make proline. It was dependent to make arginine. This is the same research study highlighted earlier, but I want to actually dive into the arginine talking points in the research study. L-arginine is the most nitrogen-rich amino acid, period. Follow along. Most human cells do not synthesize sufficient arginine to meet demand and are dependent on exogenous, outside of your body sources of arginine, like in our Hydrate Complete or in other foods. Thus, dietary arginine, you have to eat it, plays an important role in maintaining health, particularly upon physiological stress, exercise, emotional stress. Evidence is emerging that arginine deficiency can influence disease progression. The lower arginine, faster you develop disease. Here we review new insights into the importance of arginine, which is lost in every drop of sweat, and it's one of the 17 amino acids in our Hydrate Complete, emphasizing the central role of mitochondria in arginine synthesis, catabolism, and the recent discovery that arginine can act as a signaling molecule regulating gene expression and organelle dynamics. You want healthy RNA and DNA synthesis? That's what it does. All right, so that's arginine and proline. It's the only thing we wanted to highlight there for you. Now, that actually concludes for this PowerPoint. I'm not done with all the research studies. They're on the product page of our Hydrate at the Dr. Ardis Show. This is the 40th ingredient I just want to touch on real quick, and its impact on your health. No other drink that's considered a Hydrate product that I have found actually has betaine anhydrous in it. But this is the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and you may not know what betaine is. That's okay. Just know it's in Hydrate Complete, and Dr. Ardis has been studying this for 7 years to understand how this is lost in our sweat. And at our product page for Hydrate Complete at the Dr. Ardis Show, I have research studies with the exact numbers of the amount of betaine we lose in our sweat and its impact on your cardiovascular health. But in this study, I want to highlight what betaine does for the heart, and you lose a lot of this in your sweat. Betaine makes every red blood cell carry oxygen throughout the body for percentages of time longer than without it. Oxygen is required for energy, stamina, endurance, and performance, and mental acuity, and for defending against pathogens, boosting your immune system. Betaine helps your blood hold on to oxygen longer. It's amazing. So in the section called Heart Health, a series of papers, they say, showed that a combination of betaine and another thing called glycosamine improves the symptoms of subjects with chronic illness, including heart disease, without any toxicity. Overall, treatment led to an improved sense of well-being, less fatigue, greater strength and endurance, and increased desire for and performance of physical and mental work. Now, I'm going to read that sentence again because I'm going to read it differently. If you are deficient in betaine and you're not getting it in your diet, it will lead to worse, lowered well-being. It will lead to more fatigue, weaker strength, lower endurance, and lower desire for physical and mental work. You're less motivated if you have lower betaine levels in your body. And you lose a lot of betaine in every drop of sweat. Subjects with cardiac, heart decompensation, arteriosclerosis, or rheumatic diseases, congestive heart failure had improved cardiac function with betaine supplemented. Subjects gained weight, improved nitrogen balance, and reported lessened symptoms of even arthritis and asthma, and increased libido. And those with hypertension experienced transient reduce in blood pressure. Oh my goodness, this is the blessing of adding betaine into the body, which is why I had to put it in our Hydrate Complete. Glucose tolerance increased in both diabetic subjects and subjects without diabetes. Their body was even able to better improve the balance of their blood sugar with betaine supplemented. Morrison, a researcher, concluded that atherosclerosis is a preventable metabolic error. And if you just take betaine, it reverses it. Can you believe that? Has your cardiologist ever told you that betaine reverses atherosclerosis? It is preventable with betaine. He showed that betaine treatment of atherosclerosis improves the ratio of serum phospholipids to serum cholesterol, blood cholesterol, the sense of well-being, exercise and activity, appetite, angina pain, dyspnea, shortness of breath, and libido, all improved. Morrison found betaine to be the most valuable, most effective lipotropic agent tested for treatment in the human subject, period. And I repeat again at the top, this researcher concluded, Morrison, that atherosclerosis is a preventable metabolic error, and that ingestion of lipotropic agents is a part of the prevention strategy. The lipotropic agent is betaine. Look at the last sentence. Morrison found betaine to be the most valuable and most effective lipotropic agent tested for treatment in the human subject. Finally, a betaine lipotropic combination, betaine, choline, liver extract, vitamin B12, which is also in our Hydrate Complete, and a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet led to an impressive decrease in the mortality of subjects with atherosclerosis. Watch this. There was a 25% death rate after 12 months in the group that didn't take betaine, but no deaths in the lipotrope betaine group. Ask your cardiologist if betaine is right for you. Betaine is the 40th nutrient absolutely required to go into our Hydrate Complete formula to round off the formula. This is our Hydrate Complete. That's just the package. That's the supplement facts. You'll see there's 40 different nutrients and antioxidants there. There's the first little stamp there on the bottom right. Also see to the far right of those 8 little circles there, you'll see GLP-1 stimulating. This is actually sweetened with allulose, and allulose is a plant-based sugar that has no calories. That is the highest stimulating GLP-1 hormone stimulating plant extract on earth. So enjoy the weight loss and blood sugar handling with our allulose sweetened, all natural flavored fruit extracts Hydrate Complete. Order yours now. It's on pre-sale right now. Ships out December 29th. I'm Dr. Ardis. Scan the QR code. This is why Dr. Ardis created Hydrate Complete. This is why hydration is so important. And don't forget about our book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. You don't got it. You're not late to the party. It's still a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Go get it. I'm Dr. Ardis. God bless you. May Hydrate Complete bless you, bless everyone in your life, help you live a much happier, joyous, disease-free, symptom-free, inflamed, less life. And may all athletes of the world, may we reduce the heat strokes, heart attacks experienced by young athletes all over this world is the entire intent for Hydrate Complete. And my guarantee is that you will see improvements in your health. 60-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied by the taste, by the effect, just watch your life improve. And if you suffer from muscle cramps, oh my goodness, can't wait to hear from you how Hydrate Complete transformed your life. I'm Dr. Ardis. We will see you next time on the Dr. Ardis Show. I will see you next week. At the time of this recording, we're about to go into the Christmas holidays. God bless you. I hope you all have an incredible holiday season. We will see you next time on the Dr. Ardis Show. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Visit thedrardisshow.com/follow for my official social media channels and free healing resources. Beware of fraud accounts. Neither I nor my company will ever ask you for money, crypto, or personal information through your social media or DMs. Like this video and share with a friend. And if you're not already, subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates from me, the only real Dr. Bryan Ardis. And remember, nature always wins.
Disclaimer. Please note, the following presentation is solely for informational purposes and should not be seen as a replacement for advice provided by your physician. It is important not to rely on the information from this presentation for diagnosis, treatment, medication prescription, or any other form of medical care. Always consult with your physician or healthcare professionals before taking any medication, nutritional supplement, herbal remedy, homeopathic treatment, or pursuing any health-related procedure. If you have a medical condition or believe you might have one, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Do not disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it based on this presentation's information as the products or services purchased from it do not establish a doctor-patient relationship between you and any affiliated physicians. Statements about dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.